Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Let's talk horror. Today, you can see I am rocking my Stephen King glasses because it is Stephen King Day. And over here, we have Mr. Justin from Rhine1988. Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
We are doing awesome. And here below us, we have Knight of the Nightwatch Zone. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk Stephen King. I have been a fan of Stephen King since I was a little kid, and I've gone to his house twice. So that's how much of a fan I am.
Oh,
Not
that's
inside,
That's
not
awesome.
inside,
that's awesome,
guys,
man.
but
Oh,
outside,
good.
looking through the gate.
I was thinking you're
That's
over
so
there
awesome.
for dinner parties and stuff.
Right. It'd be even better if I snuck in.
Right. I went to his house. I snuck
Right.
in. He made a movie about me. Wrote a book called Gerald King. I don't know what all happened, but it was quite hot.
Right.
So before we get started here, as always, guys, I first off want to thank my beautiful wife Ashley, Justin, and Knight both for being here. I really appreciate all of you doing this with us. Now, before we get started, we got some chat going already. We got Sean here. What's up, buddy? John, how you doing? Shaheem is here. How you doing, my friend? Glad to have you here. Chris Marshall. Justin, I love your shirt, man.
Thank you.
Chris is also a huge The Thing fan, and I do want to say this real quick. Chris Marshall is the one that gave me the idea to do a top 10 Stephen King movie, so I wanted to give a little shout out to him. He said that was a good idea, that we should do that, and I was like, you know what? I completely agree. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what we are
Nice.
doing here today. Now,
Hey, everybody in the chat.
before we
Hello,
start,
everybody.
as always, if you haven't already, Justin, Ryan1988, Knight of the Nightwatch Zone, all these are down here in the description. So make sure you're subscribing to their channels.
Mhm.
Check out their content because they are so amazing. We are the Nightwatch.
What's up, Ben?
And then Shine says Stephen King makes another novel from his creepy experience seeing Night peeking through the gate.
I would
Right?
love it.
I'd read it right away.
Right?
So as always, guys, we hope you participate. We want to see your list over here because obviously Stephen King, as an author, Stephen King does a part in the movies that have been adaptations of his work. The guy means so much to the horror world and so much to me in general. So this was a list that was both hard and easy to come up with because he's just a master of his craft. I don't think there's anybody that has ever done it with the longevity and as amazing as Stephen King is. So I wanted to give a big shout out to the man himself because without him, I probably wouldn't be the horror fan I am today. So
Mhm.
Same.
Same here.
we will start this off with our honorable mentions as always. So I have two. My two honorable mentions. Number one is Maximum Overdrive. I had to include this on my list at some point. And I'll tell you this, just the opening alone of the bridge opening up and Stephen King's cameo when he's trying to get money out of the ATM card. Honey, this machine just called me an asshole. Like that's a whole other, like that scene is so fantastic to me. My other honorable mention will break your ankles with a sledgehammer, and that is Misery. Absolutely could not have this list without Misery on it. I just had a conversation, I believe, with Knight about how they need to do a Friday the 13th remake, and they need to do it with Kathy Bates as Mrs. Voorhees.
Oh,
and that is
yes.
strictly inspired by my love of Misery. So I think that that's something I would absolutely love to see. You want to give your honorable mentions, my love?
Yeah, so I have two. One of them is The Mist, and
Yes.
I'll tell you why
I
it
love
didn't
that.
make my number.
It's an
Because
honorable
it's an
mention?
honorable mention, and I love The Mist all the way up until the ending.
Oh, God.
I hate the ending. Everybody knows it. You know this.
I do.
But I like the monsters in the movie. The antagonist is Carmody. You hate her. She does a great job with that. The characters like Ali, I loved him. And you know the Shermanator's in it, and he gets drug out by a tentacle, and it's a good movie, but the ending I hate it.
Sure.
And then the other one is Children of the Corn.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I forgot.
This movie, when I was a teenager, it scared me so bad that when I would walk home from my best friend's house, I would have to walk past like a cornfield, and I wouldn't walk, I would run because of this movie. Like, it's so intense, and I just love that movie.
Right. And it's funny because for those of you that aren't familiar with the territory that Ashley and I are from, there
It's
are
nothing but cornfields.
definitely a lot more corn stalks than there are people in this
This is
population.
true.
Ooh.
So Children of the Corn is definitely
I
iconic
think
for us.
it makes it more creepy because we live in a little town. Like, obviously, it's not run by like creepy children
That
that
we
kill
know of.
people. Well, it may be, but we're not dead yet. We're adults now, so.
What about you, Justin? Do you have honorable mentions for us?
So I have 4 of them. I was like Stephen King. I'm like, I have to mention these. So my first 2 are actually made for TV movies. The first one is Rose Red, which is one of my favorites. I love that, and I remember the first time I saw it, it scared me. So, but it's one of my favorites, and I rewatched it a couple years ago, and I love that one. And then Storm of the Century, which that is just a great one.
Yeah.
Give me
Oh.
what I want and I'll go away.
Yes.
Yes, great villain, great atmosphere, great cast, and heartbreaking ending. Like, just a sad ending. But I love that. It still holds up. And then Misery was another one of my honorable mentions. I love that one. It was actually in my top 10, and then I had to bump it a little bit. So, but Misery is a great one. And then the original Firestarter. So I'm a huge fan of that Drew Barrymore movie.
Great choice.
I love it.
Absolutely.
From the Tangerine Dream soundtrack to the cast, and I rewatched it a couple years ago too, and I think it still holds up really well. I love the practical effects. I love just pretty much everything about it, and I saw the trailer for the remake, and it looks pretty good. So I'm hoping that's going to be a good one. I'm glad it's getting more attention because I feel like Firestarter was always one of the underrated Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
But those are my honorable mentions.
Legit. What about you, Knight?
All right. So growing up and seeing so many Stephen King movies, especially, like you guys were mentioning on TV, the TV movies and stuff like that, I absolutely loved those times. You get the little voiceover and I'm sitting there waiting to watch the movie. So this is actually a favorite novel of mine, but it's going to be an honorable mention on my list. And I'm going with The Stand from back in the day. Yes. And
I love it.
Man, I just absolutely loved how awesome and like apocalyptic that movie is, and all the actors in it, Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald, all these wonderful actors. And I mean, Randall Flagg, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
Creepy.
I mean, he was so iconic, and I just loved how crazy I think it was Jamie Sheridan that portrayed him. And like, even when he's singing, baby, can you dig your man? It just had so many fun moments. So I love The Stand. Had to have that on my honorable mentions. And also Thinner. Thinner was one of those movies that just kind of shocked the hell out of me, because at that time I was a little bit older, and I was just like, well, let me just watch this movie. I didn't really expect a lot out of it, but it creeped me out. It really creeped me out. Eat the pie,
bro.
Right? And I mean, like, the end of it was like, wow, so I really enjoyed that one. And I've got one other one that a lot of people, they may not count this one, but I'm going to count it because, it was one of those short stories when he was using the Bachman title, The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had to have it on the list. It has some really, really awesome moments. I'm a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. And so anytime I talk about Stephen King movies, I always remember that one, because as a kid, I didn't know that. And when I found it out, I was like, oh, wow, this was an adaptation from a Stephen King story. That's so cool. So those are mine.
See, I think that absolutely counts.
Yeah.
100% counts, because without Stephen King, that doesn't exist. So for me, that
There you
absolutely
go.
100% counts as a Stephen King adaptation. So real quick, I want to go through the chat real quick before we actually start off with our 10s. Ben says, crazy how many books he still pumps out a year.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. The dude is still
Yep.
cooking.
Yeah, he is.
Chris mentions Dinner and Sleepwalkers. I wonder how much Sleepwalkers we're going to talk about tonight. Your Thinner is pretty. See, I don't mind Thinner. It didn't make my top 10, but I don't think Thinner is a bad film at all.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put Kathy Bates as Miss Voorhees, please.
She would be phenomenal.
She'd be so good.
She would.
And like
She
we talked about,
would.
if one of the kids runs from her, remember the end of The Waterboy when she tackles Bobby Boucher's dad? Kathy will catch you, bro. Like, hey, your daddy, Roboito. Like, she'll get you for sure.
Bobby Boucher.
Castle Rock season 2. I have not. Have you guys seen
I've
Castle
never
Rock?
seen that show.
I
need
have
to watch
not.
it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to though, for real.
Mhm.
Yeah. 10, Children of the Corn, 9, Sleepwalkers, 8, Thinner. Love it. Daniel, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
Thanks for stopping out. Mika, hi.
Hi.
Mika and Kira
Hey.
Hello.
will be joining us next weekend
Yep.
to count down our top 10 favorite horror TV shows. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh.
We'll have more info on that as the week goes on. Shaheem says Firestarter, The Shining, and Misery.
Great
Nice.
Rose
ones.
Red would definitely get an honorable mention. Yes, it already did.
Mhm.
Love it.
Top 5, Christine, Shining, Dr. Sleep, Misery, The Fly, and Room It at 6, Room 1408 at 7. Have not seen much more. Hey, we love the Nightwatch Zone too, Slaughtered Lamb, so thank you for joining us to watch him.
Hey, what's up, Taryn and Frank?
Ashton, better late than never, buddy. We're glad to have you. Sorry, Dead Zone at 8. Forgot about that one. Good choice. Now, I did say this at the beginning, but we have more people trickling in.
Mhm.
So if you have not subscribed to Rhine1988 or the Nightwatch Zone yet, their links are down in the description. So as always, make sure you're following them. Their content is amazing. I'm so lucky to not only consider them great content creators, but amazing friends of mine that I talk to at least once a week. So I'm very honored
you.
to have you guys here tonight.
Thanks, man. Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Hey, no, anytime. This means so much to us to be able to hang out with you guys. So, my love, do you want to start us off with your number 10?
Okay, so number 10, hear me out. Some people are going to say this isn't a horror movie, but I'll tell you why it scared me and why I have it on my list. So number 10 is Stand By Me. And
It's not a horror movie. Who says that's not a horror movie?
this movie, when you see the dead kid, when you first see him, that freaked me out.
Dude,
Mm.
Kiefer Sutherland is one of the best Stephen King villains.
Yeah.
man.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
When he, acts like he's gonna stab him, and
Yeah.
like he was a really good villain. Also, like the scene where they're going over the river on the railroad tracks, and then he's like train, and they start
Yes.
running. Like
Yes.
that gave me such bad anxiety when I was, when I first watched this. So I really love this movie, and I had to add it onto my list.
No, I dare someone to try to argue with me that this isn't a horror movie. I'll
Well-
fight you till the end. And the cast is
Right?
great. You got River Phoenix,
River
Kiefer
Phoenix,
Sutherland, John
God
Cusack's in
rest
it.
God rest his soul. I think River Phoenix could have been something magnificent, but
Absolutely. Yeah,
but he was
absolutely.
taken at a very young age, unfortunately. So yeah, I love this movie, and like you said, the cast is phenomenal,
Mhm.
and I had to add it to my list. So that is my number 10.
I'm actually bummed I don't have that on my list. Good choice.
Me too. I love that movie.
I'm
How
not going
about
to
you,
say
Justin?
anything
What's
about
up?
my list.
Yeah, I know, and it's just like that. Again, I dare someone to fight me on the fact that that's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's a total
Agreed.
coming of
Even,
age
like,
horror
when,
movie.
when they're out in the woods and you hear like the coyotes and
You
stuff.
got
and-
Jerry O'Connell
Yeah.
with a gun.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, Justin, what's at number 10 for you, brother?
Okay, so number 10 for me, I love this and it scared me when I was a kid. It's Silver Bullet from 1985. I love this. Again, kind of like Firestarter, I think it's one of his underrated short stories and one of his underrated movie adaptations. For me, it's a great one. From the cast, Gary Busey, Corey Haim, rest in peace. I miss him still today.
Yes.
This was scary for me as a kid, and I rewatched it a couple of years ago, and it's still very creepy and effective. I love the atmosphere. I love the music in the movie. Some standout moments for me have to be the girl who is going back and forth on suicide, and she's in her room, and the werewolf comes in and attacks her. And like the way the movie was lit, that whole scene was so scary. I remember being like 6 years old, and it was on TV, and I'm like terrified by that scene. So that creeped me out. And then a couple other moments. I think the scene where the townspeople go in the woods to try to track down the werewolf, and that whole kind of scene that takes place with the fog and everything, and the baseball bat with the werewolf, that always creeped me out. And then the church scene, the dream sequence when everybody turns to werewolves, like that was all great. So I love Silver Bullet. I wish more people talked about it. I think that is such a great movie, and if you have never seen it, you need to watch that one. I know the werewolf could look cheesy, but for me, it's still amazing.
The baseball bat has a name. What do they call the baseball bat in that movie?
Oh, what do they call it?
Oh, jeez.
What do they call the baseball? Oh, I'm looking that up. I know they call it.
I remember the guy when they walk in, he's like, "Y'all better turn your thermostat down before it gets too hot in here." Like, I love that movie, man.
That was cool.
I mean, like, whether it be this or like the people under the stairs.
People under the stairs.
Was the scariest motherfucker in the world.
Yes, Twin Peaks too.
Man, he was amazing. Absolutely
he's such
amazing.
a great actor. What I loved about that werewolf, though, and I don't want to spoil too much if people haven't seen it, but I love the fact that like the villain of the story has feelings of going back and forth. Like he tries to be a good person, but he has this other side of him.
Right.
And I love that. I like that in the character. So
yeah, he definitely has a light to him. That you could look up to. So
yes.
What about you, Knight? What comes in at number 10 for you?
All right, this list is ridiculous as far as just how difficult it was to do it, and I've even done lists like this before, and it's always so difficult. But you got to pick something. I'm going with Cujo at number 10.
Yeah.
And look, when I was a kid. And my parents were so awesome bringing us to the video store to rent movies and stuff like that. When I saw the cover of Cujo and had no idea what it was, this traumatized me with dogs for a long time. I'm just not joking at all. And more importantly than that, Dee Wallace. I mean, she is one of my all-time faves. So many great roles. She's such an awesome actress. She's so cool with the fans. And she actually had medical issues after filming Cujo because she was always running at 100 miles an hour with her stress, tension, the heat where they were filming. And man, what a performance. I absolutely love it. That whole scene where she's in the car, it was just like, wow, what's going to happen? And I mean, she did so much great acting. So anyways, Cujo is one of those movies that still to this day, I can remember the dread I had watching it. And then of course, years later, finding out different little tidbits about it. But I was scared of dogs for years after watching that movie.
I'm still scared of dogs.
No.
That movie's very surprising. Like when you first see it, like you think something's gonna happen, and then they totally like turn. And I love that. The kid who was in the movie, fantastic actor too. I mean, So I love that. Great choice.
I love that as well. I do want to say real quick, the bat's name was the Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, that's right. Yes.
All right.
That was gonna bother me until I figured it out. But now that we got that part situated, my number 10 is probably the villain that I sympathize the most with of all time. My girl Carrie, played magnificently by Sissy Spacek.
Yes.
Love that.
I mean, like, this girl has it so rough, not only in her school life because of the way she's bullied and picked on, but at home with the most evil mother of all time. And we talk about surprising endings. The end of this movie scared me as a kid.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
really scared me. And I mean, I go back and I watch it now, and like the sympathy I feel for this girl, you know, that's just so confused about her body and her hormones. And I got,
Right.
you know, I got young ladies at home that are someday going to be going through that sooner than later, unfortunately. But, you know, just imagining how terrified they must be to have their body going through this change, only to be laughed at and ridiculed. And so for me, number 10, definitely Carrie, a movie that could have been higher on the list, but every place has to have a number. So before we get into Justin's number 9, let's catch up on the chat real quick. Wesley, late but here. Love you all. We love you too. Better late than never.
Thank you.
Chris Marshall, Creep Show 2. Could possibly listen again.
Possibly.
Thanks for the ride,
Three great
lady.
channels joining together. Thanks for the ride. That was definitely. We'll talk about that later. 3 great channels joining together. This is too good to be true.
Thank you.
Strange monkey.
Buddy.
What's up, man?
Hey, Maya.
Hey, Maya.
Ashley
Hello.
says, by me. Also,
Great
got
one.
another vote for you.
All right.
Shiny says 4, It, 3, Cujo, 2, Carrie, 1, Pet Cemetery. Zelda, pure nightmare, fueling such a traumatizing film. The fact, too, that Zelda is portrayed by a man instead of a woman makes the character that much scarier.
Yep.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Zelda is what nightmares are made of.
Oh, Zelda, yeah.
And
Oh.
Yeah.
That again. Oh,
Right.
Yeah, we may talk about that again. Maya says, "Sorry, I'm a bit late. I was watching Chelsea and James's podcast episode after their wedding. Man, fuck James and Chelsea. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I'm so happy for them. But you're here now, so that's all I care about, Maya. Mika, Silver Bullet is such a great choice, such a classic, very creepy. Was shocked that the villain was the one you least expected. Absolutely. Just the feeling of claustrophobia that Cujo stirred in me being trapped in that car with no escape. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
As I was making my list, I came to the realization that I haven't seen 10 Stephen King adaptations. I'm disappointing in myself. Oh, you are not a real horror fan. No. Well, all this means is now you got to watch these movies we're talking about. We're going to give great recommendations.
Great recommendations.
Yeah.
Shaheem says, Night, I feel your pain so badly about Cujo. I used to be scared shitless of dogs after seeing Cujo. I'm still very scared about running into a dog. Yeah,
Right? Absolutely.
Sissy Spacek was phenomenal as Carrie. Yes, she was.
Yes.
Hey, Sledgehammer, Horror and Friends.
Hey.
Hey.
Thanks for stopping out, Gabriella. I haven't been able to make it to a stream in a bit, so I'm happy to be here. We're happy to have
Thank
you.
you. Welcome.
Absolutely.
Now I can't talk the rest of the episode. Lucky y'all. Justin, you want to start us off with your number 9, my friend?
Yes. So number 9 for me is one of Stephen King's recent. It came out a few years ago, I think, but one of the modern adaptations, and that's Doctor Sleep, which I think is fantastic.
Okay.
I love this so much. I mean, it's a dark movie, and there's some scenes that are very heartbreaking, like when the boy dies. Like I bawled, like I was crying. But I saw this in theaters, and it still breaks my heart that the movie did not do as well as I was hoping it was.
Yes.
I don't know if it was the marketing. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, that was sad because I think this is fantastic. I love Ewan McGregor cast as Danny Torrance. Very believable as an older Danny. I think he was fantastic. Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. Like, she's one of my favorite villains
Yes.
of all time. Like, she's just so good in this movie.
Absolutely.
And she has she's not like you would think like your typical villain. Like, she has a soft, kind voice, but like she's evil.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she's amazing. The cast is great. Mike Flanagan, I'm a huge Mike Flanagan fan. I love his work.
Yes.
Another one that didn't make my list, but Gerald's Game is another Stephen King adaptation that he did, and that was amazing too. But he was fantastic for this, and you could tell that he had a lot of love and heart for not only Stephen King, but also Stanley Kubrick's movie. And just like the set pieces going back to the hotel, the fact that he got little things just to match up with that hotel in Kubrick's movie is fantastic. And I love this movie. And again, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Dr. Sleep. It's awesome.
Great.
Absolutely.
It's super amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
So
It
we'll
is.
talk about it again here in a little bit. What
Yeah.
about you, Knight? You got your number 9.
Oh man. Okay. So again, we kind of already touched upon this. You know, some people may not think it's a horror movie, but we've already established that it is, and I'm going with Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Definitely a horror
Because-
movie.
Man, look, when I saw this movie as a kid, first of all, the thing I love about Stephen King, when he has those movies where he's dealing with kids, you know, young people, he finds a way to really tap into those things that can be so haunting, so scary to a kid, to a young person. And like you guys said, a lot of people may think of it as a horror movie, but it truly is. Like, I was watching it and I was just like having this dread that was pouring over me all throughout the film. Everybody in the cast did such a hell of a job. And like you guys were talking about, Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh.
Wow.
One of the best villains in any Stephen King film.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
hands down.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I mean, and the thing about Kiefer Sutherland, what a career he's had, because he's played good guys as well, you know,
Yep.
but he plays an amazing villain or jerk or asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Stand By Me is such a good film just as a movie itself. And for me, scary as hell. So had to
Yeah.
have that on my list.
I agree.
And you're right.
Love it.
When you have Kiefer Sutherland in a movie, if
Mhm.
he's the good guy, you're rooting like hell for him. If
Right.
he's the villain, you fucking hate him.
He's
Right.
So,
I mean, he plays evil
that
so
depth,
well, though.
Yeah, the depth that man has as an actor, phenomenal.
Yeah.
My
So-
two, I would say my
My-
two favorite Kiefer Sutherland movies. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
that are kind of underrated. Flatliners. I don't know if you ever saw
Yes.
Flatliners.
Yes.
I love that. And then one that I love that seems to get a lot of hate is The Vanishing, which I one of my favorite Kiefer Sutherland movies. I love
Right.
it. The climax
Besides-
is great,
Besides the Lost Boys,
which I
I
love
think
The
I
Lost
gotta
Boys
say
too.
my favorite Kiefer Sutherland movie, even though he's just a voice, is Phone Booth. I love
Oh
that.
yes.
I love that.
Yes. Oh my
At
gosh,
the
that's
end,
a
when
good
he's
one.
washing his shoes, he's like, "I hope you take care of yourself." I was like, "Oh my
Oh.
god, he's not dead!" Like, it's so good.
Oh,
Okay, guys,
so
I'm sorry.
good. I love that movie.
I can't keep these Stephen King glasses on anymore. My eyes are starting to hurt. So my number 9 has been talked
They're
about.
dirty. How could you even see all these things?
My number 9 has been. It's The Mist. I do love this movie. I love the ending. I absolutely think he did the right thing because, I mean, even though that it wasn't the end of the world,
Mhm.
that's
And
still
it was the wrong thing.
that's still one less mouth he has to feed. So
He's, he's single. Like,
exactly, like
yeah.
now, no strings attached. But in all
Yeah.
seriousness, I love the monsters. I loved Ollie. I think Ollie was so awesome. Like he's one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
characters that like I love so much, and I love the juxtaposition of Mrs. Mrs. Carmody.
Carmody.
How
Mhm.
she's like, you have the juxtaposition of she's the churchgoer, she's the
Yes.
religious
Yeah.
one, she's full of love and spirituality, but she's so evil, she's so Old
Mhm.
Testament. You know, they
Yeah.
want to sacrifice someone, and like, who's really the monster in this movie? The
she's a
monsters
great
outside,
antagonist, for sure.
or
Yes.
Mrs. Carmody? Like she's that person that like you're like, oh my god, someone. And when Ollie shot her, Ashley and I audibly were like, yes, Ollie, yes. Like,
That's right.
Like, we were so
Yeah.
happy.
He
So-
was like, I had no other choice.
he's like, that's why I
Yeah.
said good job, Ollie.
Yeah, that's why I said
I love how they changed the ending from the novel, because in the novel they just hunker down at like a bed and breakfast or like a Waffle House or something
Mhm.
and wait for it to blow over. But you know, they pitched Stephen King the idea of their end of the film, and he was like, "Oh yeah, for sure, that's amazing. I
Right.
love that." So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with The Mist. I think it's a lot of fun. The cast is great, and it's got the detective, the chief from
yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah,
He's in there. What's his name?
Oh man.
like his actual name or
It was their name's Andre Boger, but what's his name? It's Peralta is Jake Peralta, and he is I can't think of it,
I
but
don't know. You
it has it has the guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine in it, and it's awesome.
But he's a great actor, though. I love
Yeah,
him.
Oh,
he's great.
You
You
talk
know.
about depth, like
Yeah.
that's another
Yeah.
guy. He's amazing. He can do a great
Yep.
job. Holt,
Holt, yes, Holt.
Captain Holt. You want to give us your number 9, my love?
Yeah, so we already talked about my number 9, but it's Carrie. Like you said, you feel so sorry for her and everything that she's going through. And Sissy Spacek she really nails it. Like she really nails a distressed teenager that is getting picked on, and she does a phenomenal job with that. And just what's going to happen at that dance, and it just breaks your heart when it does happen. I just felt so sorry for her. And then she becomes, I guess, evil or whatever when she kind of takes control of her mind and starts doing stuff to other people. But you're like, they deserved it. Maybe not everybody in that dance deserved to burn alive, but some of them did because they were assholes. So
it just sucks that the guy that played Roger Cobb from House died from a bucket hitting him on the head.
Oh, I was
like, no, not Roger Cobb.
I was like, is that really how he died? Like that's how he died, was a bucket.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
I like that movie, even though it like you feel sorry for her. And even like watching it as an adult, I think it's worse if you
yes, I agree.
Because when you're a kid, you're a stupid kid and you don't really see that stuff. But as an adult, you just are like, oh, that's so horrible.
There's a lot of movies that we talk about like that. Pet Sematary, Carrie, The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Where you have completely different feelings watching as a kid versus an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's what I love about horror, is the fact that you can watch this movie twice at 2 different spans of your life.
And see something totally
and
different.
Watch the movie in a different light. So, before we get to number 8, let us catch up on the chat real quick. Gabriella says, in the vein of Stephen King, Children of the Corn used to make me run for cover as a kid and still nightmares to this day.
Yes.
Ashley used to run from it too.
I did. I ran past that cornfield every time on my way home.
Marsh says, It, 17 and 19, which I do count as one film. I've always said that. It, 17 and 19 are one film.
Same.
I agree.
Oh, that's getting a new release in 4K.
Really?
Nice.
Ooh.
I agree.
Okay,
Dr. Sleep reminds me of a horror superhero movie. People with powers, like a girl with big power, superpower fight at the end. I can see that.
Yeah.
Mika says Rose the Hat was a great villain. She was terrifying, not a typical villain at all, gorgeous but deadly. I agree.
Agreed.
We did the top 10 favorite villains, and Rose the Hat was on my list. I think she's that great. Maya agrees that she loves The Mist, but it would be at the bottom. The ending, obviously, a standout because he made the right decision. Ashton says Dr. Sleep was great.
Yeah.
Yes, love to see Stand By Me getting some love. I'm going to tell you guys right now, it's not on my list, but
Same.
I love that movie so much.
Me
I'm
too.
so glad that it did get love on this
very
list.
Close to my heart,
Yes.
that movie.
Stand By Me is a great example of excellent storytelling.
Yes.
Gerald's Game, how did I not think of that? Added that to my list right now. I will say this, Gerald's Game is one of those movies where I went like this. Oh, fuck, God, no.
I did too.
Right?
Oh
Yes, exactly.
I don't. Like when the part happened, I was like, stop
Yeah.
it.
I
Go away.
I always got terrified when the tall man in the corner would come back.
Moonlight
At night.
Man?
Like, oh God, gave me goosebumps.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. If I ever met a Carrie White in my real life, she is getting a ring put on her finger right away, and I'm giving her a beautiful rose she deserves. Women, every woman deserves that, to be honest with you, Cheyenne. So any woman can be your Carrie White. Remember that, my friend.
There you go.
Stand By Me.
Except for the snobby girls that are mean to
Got mean girl over here, except those bitches.
Right.
Yeah. Sutherland is amazing as villains. I agree. I felt so bad for Carrie. Hey, what's up, Jay? There's
Hey,
Emily.
what's up?
Hi. I don't know why you're not with your sister. Okay. Stephen King's 1922 and A Good Marriage were great adaptations, which I would recommend. 1922 was so good. If you love movies that are scary and depressing and dark, I can't recommend 1922 enough. It's on Netflix right now. What a great
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
So
I
good,
love
guys. And it's one of those movies that as you're watching it, you're like, how can this possibly get any worse? It's not in a bad way, but
okay.
dark.
Nice.
Ben says
I love
like
this.
the Carrie TV movie from 2002. Had Angela Bettis as Carrie. Early
Great.
Catherine Isabel movie also. Loved it.
Loved
I
it.
remember that. Yeah, that was good.
Mike says, what's up, guys? Kiefer was great in Freeway too.
Yeah, he was. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Gabriella says The Vanishing was so terrifying. She felt it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I don't even remember what I said for my original thinking, but I'm sure it was something stupid. I usually say that. Misery is the best ending. I disagree. I love Misery. There is a Stephen King movie that's on my list that I will talk about that I think has the best ending of every Stephen King movie. I just hope someone has Stephen King Sometimes They Come Back. Yes, someone has that movie on their list. Storm of the Century and Desperation Never Get Any Love. Well, you came in a little late, Jay, but Storm of the Century did get some love at the beginning.
Yep.
Give me what I want and I'll go away.
So
I
terrible.
love movies like that. Not many movies do that for me, but Gerald's Game had me doing the whole aggressive inhaling. Yes. Oh, Gerald's Game had me on I see and then turn. Like, what a great. You talk about great storytelling in one location, essentially.
Yeah.
Gerald's Game.
Yeah.
So now we are up to number 8, and that will be Night starting us off.
Well, it looks like some of our lists are going to crisscross with each other a little bit, but I also have Silver Bullet on my list.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys are already just right on point. Everett McGill, when I saw him in this, when I saw him in People Under the Stairs, he instantly became one of those characters that just was etched into my memory. Also, being a kid, watching the movies at that time for werewolf movies, obviously a lot of people think of The Howling, they're thinking of American Werewolf in London, but Silver Bullet is actually right up there in a lot of ways. The storytelling, Corey, the acting, Everett, I mean, the werewolf itself, I will say, was probably one of those areas where you could say, okay, when you compare that to something like, American Werewolf or The Howling, you can, pick and peck. But other than that, Silver Bullet is iconic. One of those movies as a kid that I loved and scared me.
I used to shoot bottle rockets at my sister because of Silver Bullet.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I forgot to mention, but I love the not so much like the transformation scene, but when he gets shot and like he slowly becomes a human again.
Yeah.
That scared me as a kid.
That
was good.
Transformation scene.
Yeah.
The reverse.
Oh, so good.
I agree.
Very good. So my number 8 has not been talked about yet. Not a lot of people know that this is a Stephen King short story. We talked about our main man, John Cusack, a little bit ago. 1408. About a killer motel room at the Dolphin Inn. John Cusack. No more snakes on this motherfucking plane. Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
A funny story I want to tell you guys about 1408 real quick.
Is this about me?
It is about you.
Oh, I knew it.
So her brother, my brother-in-law, had his graduation.
We went and seen this on my 18th birthday.
And she got wasted the night before at our brother's graduation. And it was your graduation.
It was my graduation.
Yeah, it was your graduation. We got wasted. And the next day we go to see 1408. Ashley's in and out of it.
I wasn't in and out of it.
And there's a scene where John Cusack's walking down the wall trying to get to the next room. And this person jumps out with a hammer. She audibly in the theater was like, ah!
That's awesome.
This is a Dante's, the 7 Layers of Hell movie. And John Cusack is wonderful. This is another movie that scared me. It made me laugh. It genuinely made me cry when he gets his daughter back. It's a part that just every time I watch this movie, I cry because 1, it's heartbreaking, and 2, Cusack pulls this scene off. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
He's in my top 3 favorite actors of all time
He's
with
great.
Bill Murray and Ryan Reynolds. I love me some Detective Pikachu, but this is one of those things where 1408 I think is a very underrated horror film. A lot of people look at it as, it's a haunted motel room and blah blah. The depth that this movie has going into Dante's Inferno, the 7 Layers of Hell, it's just so phenomenal. If you read between the lines of this movie, it's very deep and heartbreaking and scary and sad. So for me, and we were talking about the best endings, this is my favorite Stephen King ending of any of the stories we have on here is 1408. And I'm talking about the director's cut, not the theatrical ending.
Which I don't even know if you can find the theatrical ending.
The theatrical
like,
ending is hard to find.
Back in 2007 in the theater, you're probably not going to see it.
It's funny because in the theatrical ending, he goes back home with his wife. He makes it out of the room, and they're listening to the tape, and they hear the daughter on the tape. And I got little emo goosebumps right now. But the director's cut ending where he dies, and Samuel L. Jackson sees him in the mirror when they go to the funeral or the funeral graveyard. Love it. Love it to death. So mine is 1408. What's number 8 for you, my love?
So number 8 for me is Rose Red.
Oh God.
Oh God, really?
Listen, okay, Justin, I love you. Actually, I love you. I just rewatched this movie recently for my first horror movie episode. It does not hold up.
It does too.
No, they could cut out 2 hours of this movie.
Okay, well that's a lot of Stephen King movies. They kind of go on.
Wow.
But I love this movie, and Justin does too.
I do. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle with it. It was pretty good back in the day.
Yeah. I think Annie, the psychic, like autistic girl, she did a phenomenal job. Kimberly Brown. And I like the house setup, and it freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie, it scared me.
It freaks me out too. Like I got creeped out when I watched it.
Yeah. And I like that movie, so don't hate on my number 8.
Ashley, your number 8 is awesome. Your number 8 is awesome. You're welcome.
You want to give us your number 8, Justin?
My number 8, somebody mentioned it in the comments, is Sometimes They Come Back, which I talk about another underrated Stephen King adaptation. I love that movie. I remember back in the good old days when sci-fi was awesome, they played some like old school horror movies. I saw it for the first time there, and it freaked me out. Like when the ghost of those teenagers start coming back, and then you see their real face at night, like the first reveal of it scared me so much. But I love the story. I love the cast. Another movie with a great atmosphere, and Tom McLaughlin, who directed Friday the 13th Part 6. Jason Lives directed this movie, and he did a great job. Tim Matheson's great. What is his name? He played Grady in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the lead villain. Robert Russler. He's so good. I think he's an underrated actor because the movies that he's been in, especially something like this, he's so good in this. This is one of my favorites, and I just feel like it kind of fell under the radar. It came out in the early 90s, and horror movies in the early 90s did not get a lot of love. So
true. Very true.
Great choice. I promise we'll talk about that movie again. Nice. You want to give us your number 8?
All right. So my number 8.
Did Knight start us on this one?
Oh yeah, I did start us.
Yeah,
you're right. I did.
So let's catch up on the chat real quick, and then we'll go into our number 7s. So Chris says 8, Creep Show 1.
Creep Show. Nice. I love Creep Show.
This list was so hard to make. All these movies are so good. I agree. Everett McGill was so chilling in Silver Bullet and The People Under the Stairs as well. Such a great actor. Could you imagine Everett McGill playing like an Al Bundy type guy? I don't care what this guy could be. I don't know. He could be Marty McFly, and I'd still be terrified of him.
He is a
right?
He is a force.
Yeah.
When I saw him in Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
When I saw him in Twin Peaks, I automatically thought about Silver Bullet though, because
so absolutely.
1408 is a very underrated horror movie. I agree. Hello, all, smash that like button. This is the way. I agree. Hey man, this is a great comment right here.
This is the way.
For people that have joined the chat a little late, the Nightwatch Zone, Rhine1988. Their links are down here in the description, so make sure you subscribe to them as well. Shame, I wish I completed my high school graduation drunk as hell. That would have saved me a lot of anxiety walking across the stage. Look, we were at our graduation party, not the actual graduation.
I might have been drunk at my graduation too.
Yeah. They're wrapped up in a horrible aesthetic. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I think I put Pet Cemetery at my number 7 spot. The acting is brutal at times, but Fred Gwynn as Judd Crandall is one of my favorite performances in any film. You don't want to go down that route. The theatrical ending of 1408 is available on YouTube. So if you guys want to check it out,
Check it
Ben
out.
has that. So thank you,
Nice.
Ben. I always mix up 7 and 1408. I need to check them both out. Oh, you
Yes.
do. They're both so good.
Yeah.
That's another movie I'll fight anybody. 7, complete
yeah.
horror film.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
what's in the box?
No
That's
doubt
cool.
about that. No
The
doubt.
sloth guy. Oh,
Yeah.
I had nightmares about that movie when I got home from the theater.
Yeah.
Funny enough, when I got this tattoo for the used, my tattoo artist was playing that movie, and I was
Oh
like,
wow.
usually I'm like, focus on the movie. I was like, focus on the tattoo. Focus on the tattoo. Mika says The Green Mile is a great film, such a heartbreaking story.
Yeah. That makes
Yeah.
me cry.
I didn't put that
Yep.
on the list because I never actually finished the movie.
I have to finish it too.
I cried. I
Ooh.
couldn't stop. I was so upset.
I have to watch.
Movies
Yeah.
that just have pure hatred.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to finish them. Like,
I had
Yeah.
that movie. I had
It's
like
a double cassette.
2 sets.
yeah, I think we watched the first VHS. I got to the point to where they didn't put the water on the sponge, and I was like, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
This is killing.
Yeah.
It's killing.
That's that scene in the
maybe the-
theater. People were just, you could tell everybody was so emotional. And
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
when that part came and I just started tearing up myself, and I kind of was like looking around, I saw so many people wiping
Yeah.
their eyes, and you could tell that it was affecting everybody. And
Yeah.
again, I mean, that's what a great movie can do, man. I mean, The
Absolutely.
Green Mile is such a phenomenal, and rest in peace to Michael Clark Duncan, man.
Yeah.
He
Oh
was
my God, such a
fantastic.
Great actor.
Fantastic in that movie, and Tom Hanks, as usual, always hits a
Yeah.
home run for me.
Yes.
Michael Clark Duncan can do something like The Green Mile, where he breaks you into pieces,
Yes.
and then he can do something like The Whole 9 Yards, where he just
Yes.
cracks you up the whole time
Yeah.
he's on the screen. So
Yes,
the depth that man had as an actor, cannot be
Absolutely.
understated.
absolutely.
I'd have
That's a
Dreamcatcher
good
at
one.
8. Love the cast and setting, but that CGI. That's the only reason it didn't make my list is because the CGI in that movie. I was not a
Right.
fan.
And Morgan Freeman's eyebrows.
You said it. I wasn't gonna say it. 'Cause I know the next thing you know. So there I was being talked about on Sledgehammer Horror.
That
Sorry,
was
Morgan.
good, man. That was good.
The Green Mile does really leave you heartbroken. It absolutely does. It for people that. And,
Yeah.
when I talk about how much love people have, Justin always comes to my mind because he's one of the most positive and uplifting people.
Thank you.
When you watch a movie like this and you see this man that has nothing but love in his hands and the ability to create life being treated the way he was because of misunderstandings, and you know things, look, maybe not as supernatural, but things like that really happened back then. But because of the color of this man's skin and the education level that he has, put it on him. It's his fault. He did it.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is something that I can't fuck with. It hurts me too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, for Pet Cemetery, the effects are actually good at times. I
Oof.
think Pet Cemetery has great
Yeah.
practical effects.
I love
Yeah.
that cemetery.
Oh
I
yeah,
do too.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Everyone always raves about Kathy Bates in Misery, but what she was in Dolores Claiborne.
I love that
Claiborne,
movie.
another
Yes.
heartbreaker, man.
Oh,
Yes,
Gosh,
yes,
great movie. Jennifer Jason
Absolutely.
Lee too. Amazing.
yes. Oh my
That
gosh,
well-
absolutely.
That was my favorite character in the movie.
The
Okay,
Yeah.
That guy deserved to sleep in that well. Okay.
Right.
What's one Stephen King novel or story you'd like to see made into a film? Now,
Ooh.
I'm going to be a cheater here because what I would like to see is a good version of The Dark Tower. I'm a
Yes.
big fan of the Dark Tower series, and Idris Elba did an amazing job in that
Yes.
film. But the
Mhm.
script was so bland and boring, and
Yeah.
not what the Dark Tower is. Like the Dark
Yes.
Tower is so. I mean, Matthew McConaughey even was really good in that movie. I mean, he showed up.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
hey, you know, like I was like, oh, Matthew, shouldn't you be driving a Subaru? You know, like,
Right.
you know, it was. I wish they would make a good version of the Dark Tower. What
I
about
so
you? Is there an
agree.
adaptation, a
Alright.
book or a short story he's done that you'd like a full length adaptation of?
Oh, come back to me.
Okay. What
I
about
got
you,
one.
Justin?
I love the movie, or TV movie, but it would be a great theatrical film, and that's Tommy Knockers.
Oh, yes.
That scared me
Yes.
as a kid. That movie,
Yes.
TV movie scared me. The theme, the song in it, Tommy knockers, knocking at
Yeah.
your door.
Yeah.
Freaked me out as a kid. And I rewatched it again a couple years ago. Love the TV miniseries, but that would be a really good adaptation. If they
That's so
remade
true.
it, I would love it.
Yeah.
Wow,
What about you, Knight?
Well, I want to piggyback to what you were saying about the Dark Tower, because I was so excited when I heard that they were going to be doing the movie, and then I heard about the production stuff, the behind the scenes, and then they were like, "Yeah, it's going to be just one movie." And as soon as I saw that the runtime, I think the runtime is only like what, an hour and 40, hour and 45, something like that. I was just like, "Nope, they don't have enough time to do it justice." And the sad part, like you were saying, Idris Elba was great. Matthew was Matthew. He's always good. They had some nice moments, but it just didn't gel. It just didn't gel. I was so unhappy because I saw what it could have been, and I really hope someday that they reapproach that. I know they talked about doing it on, I can't remember if it was HBO Max or Netflix or whatever, something streaming, but you need enough time to really do any of the books justice, you know.
That's what I was just going to say. It would work better as a series.
Yes. I agree.
And this is hard for me because I don't read. I'm not a fucking nerd, so I don't know.
He has to sound out the words. We've been working on it, but
yeah, when I write, it looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics. Ashley will be reading a note that I wrote her, and she'd be like, "Hey, what does scarab, forearm, bird mean?"
Nice.
To be that. Hey, everybody, what's up? Just popping in.
What's up, Garrett?
Monkey Shines, but that's one of my favorites.
I love Monkey Shines.
Love Monkey Shines, but it is not on my list. 7 is a classic. Yes,
Yeah,
it is. 7 in theater with all my friends being jealous because their parents wouldn't let them watch it. My dad took me. I can imagine Ben like, guess what, asshole? I forgot that the Green Mile and Shawshank were King movies. They are now my number 1 and number 2 50 movies of all time. Very nice. Just rewatched Apt Pupil, man. That was screwed up. Like, I believe Apt Pupil, doesn't that have the kid that played Huck and Tom and Huck in it?
Yes.
It
does.
It's a great movie.
It is good.
I'm surprised David Fincher never made a follow-up to 7. Gabriella, I agree, but I'm glad. To me, that's a movie that we don't need. It was like Jaws. Like, we didn't need sequels. When we got them, they were so bad, I wish we wouldn't have. So I'm really glad that 7 has stood the test of time on its own.
I agree.
I agree with you, Jay. Dark Tower is too massive for a movie, would be better as a series. I agree with you, my friend. Tommy knockers knocking at your door. What about the Lakers, man?
Oof.
That was another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Maya was telling me about this. Dolores Claiborne wasn't on her list, but she recently learned that it was filmed in Nova Scotia, where her dad is from, specifically a place called Lunenburg, which is in the summer. I think that's so rad when you can see where things have been filmed. My horror fanatic uncle who adores horror to death can't watch Pet Sematary today because Zelda scared the living shit out of him as a child. My mom recently had to take care of a Zelda for work. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I read everything. I'm kidding, guys. Like, I'm totally joking. Like, I love to read as long as there's pictures with it. Shine says she was scared out of her mind, but had to suck it up and told my uncle about her Zelda experience. They were dying on the phone. That's awesome. This was never talked about, but what did you guys think of 2014's Big Driver with Maria Bello? I have
never saw that one.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's really good. It's actually still on a watch list for me.
Yeah, I've got to check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Christian Hanna's here. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
Nice to see you. Just saying what's up, everybody popping in to say hi. Have a great stream. We're glad you did.
Thank you, Garrett. You're awesome.
Christian Hanna in the house. Yes, he is.
What's up,
The
Christian?
man,
Right.
Christian Hanna, one of my favorite people on the planet. So now we are up to number 7. This has been talked about, but it is one of my top favorite werewolf movies of all time. Silver Bullet.
Love for Silver Bullet.
Yeah, man.
As a kid, a lot of you know, I grew up in a video store, and my grandmother introduced me to House, and she also introduced me to Silver Bullet. And
Nice.
as a child, I had a silver bullet that my grandma had specially made for me. And she used to have this coffee pot. And we used to take like necklaces and act like we were putting them through the coffee pot, like in the scene in Silver Bullet, how they're making the bullets with the machine. And we used to act like we were making silver bullets in this coffee pot that she had. And my grandma was amazing. Like, she's still alive.
I was gonna say was like she's still.
I'm just saying, like, as a kid, I was lucky enough to have my grandmother because I had very young parents. So my grandmother was always there. I lived with her essentially as a young boy, and she played horror games with me, man. Like, we played House. Like, she'd hide in the closet, and I'd say, wait till 12 o'clock. And then we'd open the door, and she'd jump out like the monster, you know? So
Wow.
I'm very lucky to have had the upbringing that I have. And House and Silver Bullet are two of the big parts of that. So Silver Bullet to me will always be special because of my grandmother. So that's a movie that, Grandma Penny, I love you if you ever are watching this. Thank you, Grandma, for making me the man I am today. So that's a movie that's so special to me because of her. So
Nice.
What about you, babe?
So we're number 7, right?
Yep.
I have Creepshow 2. I had to go with 2 because I love that anthology and I like all of them. The Indian statue. If I would want anything to be like made into a movie, it would be that one, like a theatrical. Like, I think that would be awesome. The Indian statue.
You're talking about Old Chief Woodenhead, like it's a full film?
Yeah.
Woodenhead.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think that would be really great. And then I like The Blob, The Hitchhiker. They're all so entertaining and they have a message behind them, and it's a lot of fun and I enjoy watching it.
It's
man.
As a kid, The Raft was my favorite because I got to see a booby.
Mine too.
Yeah.
But then I got older and I realized, hey, that's sexual assault, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's called The Raft.
But I will
The
say,
Blob guy.
now, even as a kid and even now, The Hitchhiker is the scariest one to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
for the ride, lady.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my
Yeah.
God, it's so
He just
scary.
kept coming back, man. Thanks for the ride, lady.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my
barely got
God.
a face. Thanks for the
Yes.
ride.
Oh my
Yeah, so
God.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
What about you, Justin?
So number 7, is It, the 1990 miniseries.
Yes.
So that is my number 7. I had a tough time, and you're gonna hear me talk about it in a little bit, but number 7 for me is Stephen King's It from 1990. First time I saw this movie, I had to have been maybe 10 years old, and I had no idea what I was watching. I remember my aunt was making breakfast, so she was like, well, it's you and your cousins and my sisters who were younger than me. We were all sitting down in the living room, and we had no idea what this movie was. And, you get the whole scenes with Georgie and his brother, and that's going on. And then I remember, I think we all jumped, and we were all terrified when Georgie is killed. Freaked us out. And I think finished the first half with the children and cut it off. And I thought that was the end of the movie. And then years later, I rewatched it, and I'm like, there's another half of this movie. It took me a long time to go back and revisit this one, but it's easily one of my favorites now. I love it. Obviously, the first half is the best. I think all those child actors were just fantastic.
Yeah.
Tim Curry, amazing. Like, I love Bill Skarsgård. I love him as Pennywise, but for me, Tim Curry is still terrifying. Still gets under my skin. Still gives me goosebumps. And then the second half of it, I think the second half is great. I think it's pretty underrated. I think everybody was cast perfectly. The Adult Losers Club were great. It's got some great one-liners. It's got some great moments throughout the movie. And the fact that it was a TV movie and it was that terrifying is good. Is just awesome.
Yeah.
I love this. I absolutely love the 1990 It, and rest in peace to Jonathan Brandis, who played a young Bill.
Yeah.
He was such a great child actor. So.
It's definitely that was
love
a light that got blown out way too early for the court.
Yes.
I have to
Agree.
say this every stream we do, guys, and I'm sorry for the repeat saying it, but mental health is so important. And if you're a woman, you're not being bitchy because you have mental health issues. If you're a man, you're not weak because you have mental health issues.
Yes.
I take pills every day, and look at how
Same.
good I turned out. So, in all seriousness, if you are having any type of mental health problems, our DMs, whether it be Instagram or Twitter, are always open. We will reply to everybody. If you're just feeling down and you need someone there to talk to, I know Justin is the same way. Knight, I'm sure you could reach out to him and he'll be there for you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's
Absolutely.
never a mountain that you can't climb if you have help. So just remember that it's never going to get too dark. You always have people that love and care about you. So in honor of Jonathan Brandis, I have to say that because that life was snuffed out way too early because of mental health. And there's this stigma with men that if you have mental health issues, you're a bitch, you're a what? That's not it. It has nothing to do with that. It's a chemical imbalance and you need help. It has nothing to do with your manhood. So please remember that to get help. Sorry to cut you off there, Justin. I had
no, you're fine.
Talking about Brandon.
Yeah, I miss him, but I will say I was gonna say like I could do a pretty good Tim Curry impersonation.
You gotta hear it.
All right.
Okay, I love. Do they float? Oh yes, Georgie, they float.
Yeah.
And when you come down here, you float too.
Yes.
That's good.
That right there was worth the price of admission, man.
That was good. That was good.
What
Kiss
about
me,
you?
fat
What about
boy.
you, Knight? What's your number 7? You say kiss me, fat boy? That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
That was good, man. Oh my god. Oh man. Very cool, Justin.
Thank you.
For my all right, let me just make sure I got okay. For my number 7, we have talked about this. All right, I'm going with The Mist. Okay. Now, I love this movie and I love the ending. And the reason I love the ending is because it killed me. The ending killed me. I remember watching this movie. My brother Killian, he says to me, I just saw this movie, The Mist. You got to see it. You got to see it. I was like, oh, yeah, I heard about that. I'm watching the movie. I didn't know what I was getting into. And wow, what a story. All these actors, these characters in a bottleneck film. You know what I'm saying? And Mrs. Carmody, we talked about that. The monsters. I mean, it was such a cool movie and all the tension when they had to make the trip over to the pharmacy. Wow.
And
I was
those
like,
spiders,
Oh,
man.
that-
the spiders.
Freaks me
I'm
out.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then he falls and oh my God. I was just like, man, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I could have been one of the people going over to the pharmacy, because
No.
I was just like, wow. But the ending of it, when you're watching the movie, and even for us as horror fans, or at least for me, I did not think it was gonna go there.
No.
No,
I
I didn't either.
So as I'm watching it, and he's got the gun, and not to spoil it for people that haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you've got to see it. I think it's worth watching. But when he's got the gun, I'm like, no. And sure enough, things are happening. Now that's bad, right, guys?
Yeah.
But then it's like, 10 seconds later, and all of a sudden you hear the vehicles and the scene, the way it's shot in the mist, and you just see shadows coming. And I was like, oh my God. And Thomas Jane, wow. I mean, good Lord, what an ending. So I had to have it on my list. I really did.
Yeah.
The scene that disturbs me too with that movie, and it didn't make my list, but I love that movie. But the scene that got me too was when they sacrifice the soldier and they drag him out, and he's crying and begging, please don't do
that
this.
poor kid. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
I
Like
agree.
chills and just heartbreak with that scene.
Yep.
Well, one thing I got to bring up real quick with Thomas Jane, because this is so amazing to me. There's a scene at the end when he has the gun and he's screaming and he's hitting the gun on the steering wheel.
Yes.
Points it at himself and starts pulling the trigger.
Yes.
That was a complete ad-lib scene by Tom Jane. Like, that was not in the script. Him crying and stuff was, but the part with him pointing the gun and pulling the trigger was not in the script. That was just something that he said in the moment, felt like something he would have done.
Nice.
And that part just is so amazing. Like, I don't care what happens, just please take me. Like, such a great moment.
Yeah.
So I had to bring that up while we're talking about his amazing performance.
Yeah. He was awesome in it. He really
Yes.
was. One of the most gut wrenching endings of any movie I've ever seen.
The music too. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't mean
Yes.
to interrupt you, Knight, but I just have to say the music in that moment is so
Yes.
heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, you got that like chanting that, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is never, his life is never going to be right. Never. Never.
Man, I'm having so much fun. Before we get into number 6, I want to catch up on the chat. Maya says, I could have stepped where Kathy Bates stepped. You asked, that's what I love about visiting places like that.
Wow.
Gabrielle says, hey to Christian. Chris says, Storm of the Century is number 7 for him. Very nice. Filthy Dan, love to have you, man.
I agree.
We gotta work together.
Dan. Dan's
What's
the
up,
man.
Dan?
Yeah,
Dan
Silver
is the man.
Bullet is the bee's knees. Silver Bullet with Gary Busey at his best. Yeah, before he went completely insane.
Right.
Number 6 for me, painful to narrow down, but Gerald's Game. What a crazy movie. You gotta love Busey and Silver Bullet.
He's
I
great.
love that Mike Flanagan directed it. Mike Flanagan does Stephen King justice in everything he does.
I
Flanagan
love
is such
him.
Oh my God, I do too. Oh my
I
God.
love him.
He's
I
amazing.
love this. I love this. Okay, I'm a big miniseries fan of The Shining. I absolutely love it. So, Rebecca De Mornay, Steve Weber, great adaptation.
Yeah, Steve Weber was great.
I do agree that it exists. I do agree with you on that part. It does definitely exist.
I love it.
It's a battle time. Battle time.
There are certain parts like I love the hedge maze version of what happens in the miniseries. I just think that I couldn't. Obviously, it was made for TV, so a lot of the CGI effects they didn't stick with me.
I will say, Steve Weber is fantastic as Jack Torrance. Like the whole cast is great, but he was so great. I get emotional at the end when he's at Danny's graduating. Yeah, and like, oh gosh, such a great moment.
For those of you that haven't seen it, it is worth a watch.
It is.
Awesome.
Stephen King was like, "Hey, we're gonna make this the way I want it made," and he made his own miniseries version. So check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yep.
I love Tim Curry's Pennywise. He brought a playfulness and sinisterness to the character to a point where it gets under my skin just as equally as Bill's version. I'll come back to that. Amen, Ken. Mental health is key. Yes, it is. Tim Curry was so iconic as Pennywise. I agree.
Yes.
I like the It miniseries, but the second half doesn't work for me. Love Tim Curry, John Ritter, and Jonathan Brandis. Also,
yes.
Ritter and Brandis. We love and miss you. Yes.
John Ritter. John Ritter.
Oh, yes,
guys.
John. I miss him.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So amazing. I absolutely loved everything John Ritter did.
Me too.
Yeah.
My quick list without overthinking it: 10 Graveyard Shift, 9 Firestarter, 8 The Shining, 7 It miniseries, 6 Silver Bullet, 5 Desperation, Misery, It, 17, and then The Mist at number 2, and Storm of the Century at number 1.
I love Storm of the Century.
Right. Storm of the Century is making a comeback tonight.
I love that movie.
The ending of The Mist messed me up. Man, I can't say that. The ending of The Mist messed me up. Okay. Gosh, I always see the original It on DVD at Walmart and other places, and I've never picked it up. I think I might pick it up. You need to. If you haven't seen the original, we'll talk about it in a minute. Stand By. I never saw but bought recently. Stand By Me. I'm glad someone else bought that movie because it's so phenomenal. The ending of The Mist will never fail to keep me not only traumatized but mad as hell whenever I see it. It's so brilliant that it's maddening.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The Mist has one of the most tragic endings. I agree.
Yeah.
The real horror in The Mist was wondering how the dad dealt with life after the movie ended. I know.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
How's he going to spend all that extra money now that he's got a wife gone and a kid gone? Now he's got all his money. What a poor guy. I love my kids.
What about your wife?
I love my kids. Fun fact, Stephen King loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, he did love it. You know, I love you more than anything. Ken, I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you. You always do your best to read and respond to every comment. On a bad day, it can be the light that I need. So thank you, man. Love you guys. We love you too, and that's why we do this. That's why I don't ever make anybody pay me money to talk to them. Like, and nothing against YouTubers do that. Some people do this for a living, and that's how they feed their kids. This isn't our living. This is what we do for fun. It will be our living eventually, but we love the fact that you guys come out and talk to us. I'm fucking lame. The fact that any of you want to talk to me is awesome.
I talk to you.
What did you all think of Needful Things?
Oh, I
haven't
love
seen
it.
Needful
I haven't seen it.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. It was all right. I haven't seen it in so long though.
I recently rewatched it. I loved it. I mean, it's not one of my top 10 Stephen King movies, but that was great.
Right.
It was a great one.
I'll have to rewatch
Well, just
it.
like we always like talking to you guys, we also take your advice. So Needful Things is written down. You can see the hieroglyphics here. So we will.
Great movie.
Yeah, we get great movie recommendations for our
Yeah.
date nights by doing these lives too. Mika, I love Needful Things. It would be close to an honorable mention for me. Needful Things was hilarious, but in a tragic way. You guys have just teased me enough to make me watch this. So
There you
we
go.
are up to number 6, and that will be My Wife Who I Love,
Oh, okay.
starting us off at number 6.
Number 6 for me is Maximum Overdrive.
Wow.
Woo!
Yeah, I love
Whoa.
this.
That's a
movie's
hot
so
take.
fun, and I feel like you can never get bored with this movie.
That's true.
Mhm.
And it's just a lot of fun, and the Goblin truck is awesome,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
the soundtrack is like AC/DC.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I mean, you can't go wrong, and if it's on, I'm gonna watch it.
I just want to know the amount of cocaine that was done during that set.
Probably.
Stephen King even admitted he was coked out of his mind.
I'm sure.
and you can tell. You can
Yeah.
tell.
He didn't
I
even
love-
know the camera was rolling when he was like, "This machine just called me an asshole." He was being genuine. That's how fucked up he was.
No,
I
Good
lo-
choice.
Such an entertaining movie, but I just love how the teaser trailer came out and Stephen King was like, "I'm going to scare the shit out of you," and I'm like,
Yes.
"It wasn't scary, but it was
No.
fun."
Right.
it was
And he
fun.
points at the camera too. Is like, "Okay, Steven. Okay."
Oh,
I will
Steven.
say this: the Bible thumper that got hit by the truck and that was trying to take the kid.
Oh, yeah.
that part scared the shit out of
Yeah.
me. As a
Yeah.
kid, like that
That was
scared
good.
me, man.
I
Just
agree.
imagine that happening now, though. Like with how technology runs everything nowadays.
Yeah.
We would be screwed.
Oh yeah.
Right? We would. There's no
So
doubt.
what about you, Justin? What's at number 6 for you, buddy?
Well, I haven't seen anybody mention this yet. I wonder if somebody's going to talk about it, but it's another movie with the car, and that's good old John Carpenter's Christine.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
This is top 10 Carpenter movies for me too. I love John Carpenter's Christine.
Yeah.
I think, and I read the novel. The novel's terrifying. I think this one's very eerie too. It's a creepy movie. The car, you would never think that a car would have character, but it does.
Right.
It has great character. Has a presence on screen that is just so eerie.
I wish
Cast
the
is
girl from
great.
Titan would meet this car.
Right?
But I love this movie. I love the music in it. I love there's great moments throughout the film. The scene where the car's literally chasing the one bully down the alley.
Mhm.
Cast is great. Keith Gordon. When I was in high school, people said I look like Keith Gordon.
Keith
I
Gordon
just
wishes-
love John. I just love John Carpenter's The Thing, or not The Thing. Sorry, Christine. I love John Carpenter's Christine. So one of my favorites.
Great choice.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is good.
What about you, Knight?
All right, here we go. This is one of the first ones where I did an old switcheroo, probably about an hour before we went on. I'm going to go with Dr. Sleep. And listen, this movie is so good. And it did not get any appreciation that it deserved.
Mhm.
It really didn't. When I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. It was creepy, the way it was shot. Mike Flanagan did a hell of a job. And we've already talked about Rebecca Ferguson. She's also one of my favorite villains as well. I mean,
Yes.
Rose the Hat, so scary, so creepy. Well, hi there. And I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa. But the thing that was so interesting to me is that the difficult job of balancing the people that were fans of Kubrick's The Shining, people that were fans of the novel The Shining, and people that were fans of the novel Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine trying to put all of that together in one cohesive film? And he did a hell of a job. To me, it worked. It satisfied all the audiences because I love both novels, and I'm also a fan of Kubrick's film. So this was just great. And Ewan McGregor, I mean, he's always top notch. He was great as Danny. I mean, so many moments where you could really connect the dots from him and The Shining as far as living with what he went through. So yeah, I love this movie. And this is a movie, and I've said this on my channel, this is a movie that for me is going to continue to just go higher and higher. The only reason that it's at this number is because the other movies above it, I've just had more years, connected to them.
That's a great point. That's a great point there.
If that's your 6th best Stephen King film, that's already an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I totally agree with you, but my number 6 does.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got to go get my charger real quick for my laptop. You keep going though, and I can still hear you. So
okay, my number 6 floats, and it is It. And what we're going to talk about here is the fact that why I prefer Tim Curry to Bill Skarsgård. I think Skarsgård did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I think Bill Skarsgård deserves all the credit in the world for his portrayal of Pennywise. However, he was scary. Tim Curry, when he was just the clown, he was not scary. And that's what made him scary. When I look at Tim Curry, I see a party clown. When I look at Bill Skarsgård, I see a monster. And when the story was written, it was written about Gacy, and how he was a beautiful party clown on the outside and a monster on the inside. That's what Tim Curry was to me. He was your John Wayne Gacy, the next door neighbor that would dress up like a clown to play with all the kids, but had a bunch of them buried in a cellar. So, and there's so much about this movie. And the 2017, 2019, which I do consider one film, is amazing. Bill Hader gave one of the best performances in a horror movie of all time.
Yes.
It 2019. But the It miniseries is just so special to me. One of my favorite scenes in all of cinema is when Bill's looking at the photo album and Georgie winks at it.
Yeah.
Rocked me to my core. And I so wish they would have pulled that out. Yeah. I wish they would have done that in the remake. So for me, it is the miniseries It coming in at number 6. So before we get to the top 5, let us catch up on the chat. Chris says the Langoliers.
Langoliers.
Maximum Overdrive is an 80s banger, cocaine fueled with AC/DC soundtrack and Emilio Estevez. So, Ken, I know you say that you think of It Chapter 1 and 2 as one movie, but for me, they are 2 separate films, and one is the clear winner. So, with that being said, my number 5 is It 2017. I get that. So, wait, 2017 or 2019? Because now you say I love Chapter 1, but just as a song gets overplayed, I feel like this movie. So, I think that 2019 one is crazy. You criticize it, but they're all getting demolished, bro. I think all these great movies shows how King influenced multi-generations of horror storytelling. He really is one of a kind.
He is.
He really is.
Doing it to this day.
Yes.
Dr. Sleep is a fantastic movie and a worthy sequel to a legendary horror movie in The Shining. I actually haven't seen Christine yet. That's
watch.
Ooh.
You could make the argument that the car is obviously the car is the villain, but there's other villains that play in this movie too. So
yes,
really I mean, in this movie.
The thing about that movie is, yes, like Christine is a villain, but like she has true love for the main character. So like you could see, I mean, while she's killing people, I mean, she does have that heart for that character. Right. And I love the music. The music is so chilling.
Yes,
one of my favorite Carpenter scores. One of my favorite Carpenter scores.
Yes.
Hello.
Gavin, what's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping out. My comment about no, it's all good. Shawshank Redemption. One of my favorite scenes in Shawshank Redemption is when they're playing baseball outside. And he's like, "What are you in here for?" Didn't do it. It's so true to life, man. In 2017 is my favorite horror movie. Very nice. chapter 2 is higher up. Now I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I fucked that up, Maya. Mike Flanagan is amazing. I just love his work. Dr. Sleep is so well done.
Absolutely.
You and I next week are going to talk about some Mike Flanagan again when we talk about our favorite horror TV shows.
Yes.
You guys, make sure you tune in next week. Hey, Antonis is here.
Antonis.
Hey.
What's going on, buddy? So now we are up to our number 5. And starting us off here is Justin. You want to start us off with your number 5, buddy?
Of course. All right. So it is It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. So Wonder Balloon. I love these movies. I consider them one movie. Like for me, this is one film. And you know, obviously I think the first half is the strongest. I think the kids, again, like in the original, are just great chemistry. They work well. Bill Skarsgård, they picked a perfect actor for it. I mean, he is great in this role. I love the look, the setting, the feel. I like the fact that this one took place in the 80s. You get a lot of like 80s nostalgic stuff in the movie. New Kids on the Block.
Right.
I love it. And then you get to It Chapter 2, and I feel like that one gets like some hate that it doesn't deserve. I think that is a great half of the movie.
I prefer Chapter 2 to Chapter 1. I'm just throwing that out there real quick.
Ooh, nice.
I love Chapter 2.
I love Chapter 2.
Yeah, I saw it a couple times in theaters. And, you know, the first time I saw it, not the best experience, but but overall, I love it. I think I think part 2 was a great one. I think the cast that they picked for the Adult Losers Club, all perfect.
Yeah, they were
matched great.
Yeah,
and
I
chemistry was great with them.
Each other.
Yeah, and I love the trailer. I love the It Chapter 2 trailer.
Yes.
For 27 years.
Yes.
I craved you. I miss you.
Yes, that was such a good trailer, man.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, and Andy, the director, he did such an amazing job with both movies. And again, this is for me like huge, one big movie. And I need to revisit them. It's been a while, so I love those.
You won't regret it.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Knight?
For my number 5, I'm going with Misery.
Oof,
and wow, man. I mean, Kathy Bates, but James Caan. We gotta give some love to James Caan. Like, wow. I mean, the performances that these guys gave was just amazing, and it was so creepy, and the tension, it just kept building and building and building, and every time you thought that Kathy Bates couldn't get crazier,
right? Got crazier.
Mr. Man. I mean, like everything she did was just so great in this movie, and it could really happen.
One of my favorite James Caan lines, though, is when he's in the wheelchair and he's like, "Oh, great, I'm going on the other side of the room," or whatever that line was.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "Oh, great, I'm going on the other side of the room."
Yeah,
road trip.
Right. They had such great chemistry in the movie, though. You know, as far as just playing off of each other, and obviously the hobbling scene. I mean, wow, man. I mean, just the way that it was done, obviously different than the book, but I think that this was more effective using the sledgehammer versus the axe, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, Kathy Bates, man, like, geez, I can't say enough good things about her performance in this and everything she does.
I will say this. Everything's better with a sledgehammer.
That's true.
I set you up, man. I set you up, brother.
Dude, you underhand tossed that to me, I would have been a fool not to swing.
Right?
I love it.
My number 5, we've touched on a little bit here and there, but it is The Shining. This is a film that scared me as a kid, and then I went through this phase where like I hated it. You know, I was like, "Oh, that movie's so overhyped." Like I went through my little pretentious like little shithead stage where I was just like, "Oh, that movie's so overhyped and stupid." Then I snapped back to reality, like B-Rabbit and 8 Mile, and I just was like, there's so much about this movie that is just fucking amazing, man. Like the performances in this movie are top notch, you know, and every time I watch this movie, I have a new favorite scene, whether it's walking up the stairs, like that whole, you know, you know, like, oh my God, it's just so, so good. And
my room.
yes, you know, like it's the super pretty lady turn into an old, disgusting, or the oral sex scene with the bear. You're like, what the hell is happening here, Mr. Kubrick? You know, so Mr. King as well. So I'm a huge fan of it. I do love The Shining. Obviously, it is in my top 5, so that shows the love I have for it. So number 5 for me is The Shining.
Yeah.
What about you, my love?
Number 5 for me is 1408, and you already told my story, but
I do want to say we never know each other's lists.
Right.
Like, if you guys have been noticing, I hide my list, and she hides hers.
He thinks I'm trying to look at his list.
Always.
I'm not.
She's a list keeper.
I think you're more of a list keeper than me.
Whatever, list keeper.
Okay. Anyways, he told my story, but it's there's a bunch of jump scares, and I literally screamed in the theater out loud, made everybody else scream.
So funny.
Gosh,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I just love John Cusack. I think he's phenomenal. I love how, well, I don't love how, but like the whole, you know, his daughter passed away and it totally changed him. That's not a great reason, but
right.
But yeah, it's
definitely a very effective part of the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. It definitely changes, you know, and it's heartbreaking, but
yeah.
That's my number 5.
All right, so now we are at everybody doing their number 5. So let's catch up on the chat real quick. Marsh, this is number 5 is It from 1990. It 2 top 10, respect everyone's opinion, but I think It Chapter 2 is the dumpster fire. Respect it. It Chapter 2 gets a lot of hate, but I love it. Also, Bill Hader was amazing as adult Rich. I also count them as one film.
He was, yeah.
So good, man. The adults are great, but we spent way too long doing flashbacks. The whole movie is weak jump scares and CGI fest, and the Pennywise death is beyond a joke. And that spider.
I think both Pennywise from either. Or
I was gonna say
both suck. Like the
both
death of
the
Pennywise is awful. Like
they suck so bad in both movies.
Yeah.
You know.
It Chapter 2, I will say, went on a bit too long. Fans of the tiniest, and I agree. I think that horror fans sometimes we just grasp so hard at things to bitch about.
Yeah.
You know, and again, if you don't like something, you don't like it. That's fine.
Right.
But I agree with that. I got to share this because I see the poster back there, but the OG My Bloody Valentine was filmed in Nova Scotia as well, and one of my dad's friends was an extra in that movie. Love it.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so good. Misery is number 6 for me. Awesome movie. The hobbling scene. Oh my God, the sheer pain of it is so unforgivable to watch.
I know.
That is so good. All right, on to my number 4. It was another treacherous decision, but I decided on Misery. Such a good movie, even though you know what Annie is going to do, it still makes you get scared every time you watch that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Did Ken just give an 8 Mile Rabbit reference? You know I did. Detroit born and raised, baby. Got some hot spaghetti on my sweater already. Misery was definitely scary because the scenario could really happen. No supernatural forces involved, just a fanatical person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love how Kubrick was able to tap into the terror for people that have never seen The Shining. Rest in peace, Kubrick. No list peeping. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Gavin. Did you guys watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022? It was all right. There was not a lot of character development. We won't talk about that quite yet, Anton. It's DM me, and I'll give you my opinions on everything. But because it's so fresh, I don't want to do anything even remotely spoiler for people that haven't seen it. But DM me, buddy. We talk often. We'll have a conversation about it. In the beginning, first act, so Descend the Madness in short true colors. I also love the setting. It feels oddly nostalgic, baby, because it reminds me of my snowy hometown.
Yes, I agree.
Lexi said, "Hi, Uncle Kenny. Hey, and Ashley.
Hi,
hey, Lexi.
Aww.
Nice to see you.
That's so cute.
I hope you're doing very good, Mom, and hopefully we can see you soon. This is my sister-in-law, Ashley. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Tell Wesley and Zach and everybody said hello. It literally looks like Annie's cottage outside my house, snowy wonderland. We're in Michigan, so we feel you. We totally do.
I don't know about the Wonderland, but
Yeah. So we are up to our number 4, and that is Night, starting us off at number 4.
Okay, at number 4, I have got the immortal Sissy Spacek and Carrie,
Oof.
the original.
yeah.
The original. No disrespect to the remakes and so forth, but this
I have all
movie.
disrespect to the remake.
I'm not gonna disagree with you, but but yeah, I mean, this movie is such a good movie. It's so well made. The performance by Sissy Spacek, I mean, wow. Again, for me, and this is like a common theme with a lot of these movies, which I think speaks to the way that Stephen King was able to write these stories. You can have these actors that can really like dig into these characters, and I think that says a lot about his writing and his magnificence, and also for these movies and these wonderful actors and actresses. But Carrie, wow, the ending, I literally jumped out of my seat. I saw it as a kid. It was like a Sunday afternoon. I'm in the living room with my parents. I had no clue what was going to be happening. And the music and everything and that jump scare at the end, I'll never, ever forget it. Never, ever. Great movie. Great movie. And one of the most iconic horror moms of all time. They're all going to laugh at you.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
We're all
that
so
ending
sorry,
jump scare,
Carrie.
oh, my God. It rocked me, man.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I don't mean this in any negative way at all.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie reminds me of my mother,
Really?
Sissy Spacek. Like the way that she acts throughout that movie reminds me of my mother when she was alive, and I think that's another reason I have such a soft spot for it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Sissy's character of Carrie reminds me of my mom. My grandma was cool though; like she wasn't a crazy bitch like that. But my mom reminds me of Carrie.
Yeah. I think like it works so well because Sissy did such a great job, and like in the remake, like I don't know that she necessarily is
Chloe Grace Moretz. I can't take
like
her
Yeah.
as
she's a beautiful girl, and like I mean, who's gonna pick on this chick, you know?
way to
Like,
call out
Right.
Sissy.
No,
Like,
no,
she's
but-
not ugly like
no,
Sissy.
no, Sissy's not ugly. Sissy's
No,
beautiful
she is.
also, but she
Yeah,
just plays that
she is.
awkward, like girl better. in my opinion.
Outcast. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
Completely
I mean that shower scene right off the bat, like for me, you could get everything you needed to get about her character right there. The way that she was
Yes.
reacting, her eye,
Yeah.
even just her eyes, and just everything about her, you were just feeling for this character so much.
Yes.
And that's what carried me through the film. And it's so interesting because a lot of what was going on as far as what she was dealing with was not supernatural.
Right.
It was just society, just crashing down on her. And then of course, when you get the supernatural Jean Grey moments and all that type of stuff, you're just like, what? And it makes it all work. It puts it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
together for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely agree.
Mhm.
So number 4 for me, get your tickets at the window for Creepshow.
Yes.
I love Creepshow. Now, Creepshow 2 I think is fantastic, but the reason it's not on the list, I really tried hard to only include one of these movies on this list. Creepshow 2 is fantastic. I have the soundtrack on vinyl in the other room.
Mhm.
I love
Nice.
it, but there's just something about the original Creepshow that just does it for me. The wraparound I think is better. You have
Yeah.
more stories in
Mhm.
the anthology, and oh man, you already know where I'm going with this. I can't tell you how many times from the age of 5 or 6 until the age of 36 I've said I can hold my breath for a long time.
Leslie Nielsen.
Oh.
So, you have Ted Danson and Leslie Nielsen, and that's
Yes.
that part of the anthology. And it's such an amazing. Even at the beginning, when Leslie Nielsen walks in, he walks right up to his TV and he's like, "This is kind of loose. You can get better reception if you tighten this up." There's so much about
He was
it.
amazing in that role.
He
Oh my
was.
god.
So good. And then,
Oh.
like the ending one, when you have the cockroaches coming out of the guy, like that's
Ooh,
another
yes.
one for me. So.
Mhm.
I'm such a big fan of Creepshow, and I love the Creepshow TV series. I love Creepshow 2. Creepshow 3 exists, and that's unfortunate, but
does it exist though?
Hey, one of my favorite things about Creepshow is Ed Harris's dancing though.
Oh
yes, you are so right. You will never see, the only time you're going to see better dancing than Ed Harris is Crispin Glover in Friday 4. That's the only time. But Ed Harris was definitely there. I love that song.
Feel it?
All right,
right now.
This is crazy, Justin.
I learned my dancing from horror movies,
and then he taught our kids how to dance like that.
Oh my!
You should see our girls dance. I'm like, oh my goodness, you dance.
Oh my god, that is so awesome! Oh my god! But that song, "Don't Let Go," you are so right, Justin. I love that song. I actually have that on my playlist. I love
the music. I love the dancing. I liked her reaction. She's just like bopping around.
Yes.
Just having a good old time.
And this is not to do any type of self-promotion at all, but you guys just hit two things. Every month I get together with a couple of friends, couple YouTuber friends, and we do just a super hangout. And we had one of my buddies had to review Creepshow 3. And it was hilarious. It was a hilarious episode because Creepshow 3 is Creepshow 3. But also, we had a moment in one of my intros. I have that shot of Ed Harris dancing, and also Cass dancing, because I love that scene. So.
That's amazing.
Oh, self-promote, man. I love when you self-promote because I love the shit. So don't ever feel bad about that.
One of my favorite quotes
was Creepshow. You want to give your number 4, my love?
Yes, my number 4 is The Shining. So this movie is over 40 years old, and it still lives up to today as it did, back then, in my opinion. And Jack Nicholson, like, he was born to play that part. Like, he was born to play an evil person. Just like
I don't think he's evil. I think he's really a good guy.
But even before, like, he gets possessed, like he's just Jack Nicholson. I don't know. He's got that like that darkness.
I get it. I think he really was. I think he had his family's best interest at heart. Okay. When he took him to the mold. Okay, Ken. I am in trouble when this is over.
Yeah, you are.
I spoke out of line. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I ran into a door.
Get yourself back in line. No, I'm kidding. Like the scene with the 2 little girls and how come play with us, and then they're covered in blood. Like, everybody knows that scene. Like, it's so iconic. And it's a great movie, and like I said, it still lives up today.
For sure.
Opinion.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, you want to give us your number 4, brother?
Oh yes. So my number 4, I'll just say a quote. I wonder if you guys are gonna get it. Teacher. Do you guys know what that was from?
Oh my god, I'm having a blank. I know it.
So Salem's Lot.
Yes.
An all-time favorite of mine. I watched it about a month ago, and I've seen it several times, but it's one of my go-to ones. And I know it's a long miniseries, but it goes by quick for me every time I watch it. This is fantastic. I still think it is. Rest in peace to Tobe Hooper, one of his best.
Yes.
And from his directing to the look of the film, to the cast, which I think is brilliant, and then of course Barlow. Like,
master.
Yes, the master wants you.
Are you excited for the remake?
Oh, I am so excited for this remake. I wonder where they're gonna go with it, because I love the book. I thought the book was fantastic. It's a fantastic book, scary book. And I think this 1979 miniseries is scary. It still holds up 40 plus years later as one of the best. The scene that I'm talking about, the boy in the window is creepy. Like, it terrifies me. But the scene with the vampire in the rocking chair, and he goes in.
Yes.
And he says, "Teacher, come to me, teacher. Gets me every time. It always gives me goosebumps. I absolutely love this movie or miniseries, whatever you want to call it. I just think it's fantastic. And again, with the Salem's Lot remake coming up, I cannot wait to see it. I love the fact that we really don't know too much about it. They're kind of keeping it a little under wraps. And when it comes to Barlow, I'm curious, are they going to go in the direction of Barlow in the 1979 movie? Or are they going to go what he's described as in the book? Because in the book, he's pretty terrifying too. Like, he's a terrifying character.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Salem's Lot for me. I love this 1979 movie. So
I can't wait to see the remake either, man.
Yeah,
me too.
Before we get to our bronze medal at number 3, let's catch up on the chat. Chris's number 4, Silver Bullet. Good choice, my friend. Totally forgot about Carrie. Should have had it in my top 10 just for the ending. Love you, Ash. Oh shit! Just saw that poster behind you, Night. I love Big Trouble in Little China. That's awesome.
Jack Burton.
Because it's like,
oh, I love Jack
My
Burton.
Bloody Valentine, Fright Night, Big Trouble in Little China, The Shining, Pup Rock.
Ooh.
So on to my number 3, Stand By Me. A good coming-of-age classic, a vibe that is so hard, a life lesson-y.
Yeah.
A great thing about Carrie is she's not a villain, but her mom and other kids at the high school are. I agree. Creepshow is another one I have on DVD but haven't yet to see. Oh, Maya, you got to watch Creepshow and text me immediately after because I would love to know what you think of it. Yeah, the shot of Carrie alone in the shower really set up for the sorrow and sheer loneliness of the character from the very beginning when her mannerisms are very sheltered from the... Oh, my God, such a heartbreaking movie.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the remake of Salem's Lot. I will say this, and talking about self-promotion, I just had Kellen Root on the channel for a My First Horror Movie, and he is in the upcoming Salem's Lot remake. And obviously, due to NDAs and stuff, he wasn't able to tell me much. But the things he did tell me, you should be very excited about this remake because they're going very dark.
Nice.
Justin with his impressions creepy as fuck, or is it just me? They're perfect. I know. I'm texting him like, more. Castle Rock Season 2 with Salem's Lot interacting with Annie Wilkes. There was a Chappelle Waite show. Those ladies in Salem's last year. I gotta watch this Castle Rock. I gotta check this out.
I gotta see it too. I've never seen it.
The Dead Zone is another favorite of mine. Not sure if it was mentioned as I came to the chat a little later. Not yet.
Not yet.
Christopher Walken.
One I have to still see.
We are up to our top 3. So my number 3, sometimes dead is better. And I'm gonna say that, and I've said this before, like if I'm counting down my top 10 favorite moments in horror movie and regular movie cinema, I'm always gonna talk about Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm gonna talk about the Joker in Batman, where he's in the museum and Prince is playing and painting over
Party
everything.
man.
Yes, and I am gonna talk about Pet Cemetery when Victor is standing in the road and you have Lewis walking and he's like, don't do it, Lewis, and he's like, it's all right, she just died, it'll be different this time. Like, that scene rocked me as a kid.
Yes.
My biggest problem with the Pet Cemetery remake was the absence of Victor Pascal, because Victor to me is one of the best characters in Pet Cemetery. He made that.
Yes.
For him getting hit, even when he's out, he's like, Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then Rachel's like, Pascal? Was she saying Pascal? Like, oh, I got little emo goosebumps right now. Like, and there's so much about this movie. Like, we talked about the difference in watching a film from a child to as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, the gauge scene.
Oh.
Very different when you live on a very busy highway and you have children. So it's just these things that mean so much to me in this movie that has scared me. That I love. The Ramones Pet Cemetery is my favorite Ramones song.
We rock out to
Mine
that
too.
Yep.
It's like our
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that song.
It's funny because King called the Ramones. It was like, hey, I got this movie. Will you guys write a song? They wrote that song in like an hour.
What?
That is awesome. I didn't know that either.
Like, I remember watching the Ramones. They had this documentary about him. They talked about that. They wrote the song, recorded it, filmed the music video within the space of like 3 days. And King was like,
Wow.
I love it. And to this, I'm a huge Ramones fan.
Mhm.
Growing up,
Me too.
huge
Yep.
punk rock fan, huge
Absolutely.
Ramones fan. Pet Cemetery's always been my favorite song by them, and even cover versions of it are they're haunting and beautiful. The Plain
Yes.
White T's, who I'm not a huge fan of, did a cover of Pet Cemetery for the Frankenweenie soundtrack, and they crushed it. Like, they did so good. But
Oh, wow.
check that out.
I like the version in the remake too.
Yeah.
The remake.
Yeah, I agree.
The remake cover was like almost industrial, which I thought was definitely different. But if anybody gets a chance, check out the Plain White T's version of Pet Cemetery. It's on YouTube. So good. So it pops it out a little bit, but it's really, really good.
I like that they got the Ramones back for Pet Cemetery too. Poison Heart's another great song.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So you want to give us your number 2, my love?
Number 3.
Yep, number 3, that one.
You said 2. Okay.
I know, I'm an idiot.
So number 3 for me is Sometimes They Come Back.
Ooh, wow.
I didn't get to watch this as a kid. Actually, Ken introduced it to me a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with it. I was amazed by it. Like, I loved Jimmy and Wayne's brother relationship.
Yes.
Like, and I don't know, but Stephen King has a lot of those like big brother, little brother relationships in a lot of his movies.
Yes.
I love their relationship. The greasers, when they come, the students from Milford, when they come back, they're super creepy, and when you see their dead form, that creeped me out. And at the end, I love the cheesy, like, where he comes out from the beyond.
I do too.
It just works for me, and I think it's amazing.
It does.
And, some people think it's cheesy, but it's good. And
I love it.
Yeah,
it is good.
Very much.
I'll tell you this: if that's cheesy, I'll put it on my macaroni any day because I love it.
It's great. It's great.
Good
and
choice.
I'm glad you introduced me to that.
I'm glad too.
Oh, I love that movie.
What about you, Justin? What's your bronze medal?
Dun, 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 dun. The Shining for me is my bronze medal. It was a tough one between my number 3 and number 2 though, because they go back and forth. But The Shining is just I love this movie. I love all these, so I'm going to say that a lot. But I truly love The Shining, from Kubrick's design of the hotel to the music to the opening is just fantastic with that score.
Yes,
Jack Nicholson's performance. I don't think he. Like, for me, I think Steve Weber, the way he played Jack Nicholson, had a lot of heart in the beginning. And I think Steve Weber played Jack Torrance a different way, which I appreciate. And I think Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, I think it was just Jack Nicholson, but I think the beginning of it, yes, he cared about his family, but I think he played it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And then just madness came through to him. He's fantastic in it. There's a lot of terrifying moments throughout it. The old woman in the bathtub still gets me. The music leading up to all of that scene is great. And then, I think Shelley Duvall gives probably the best performance in the movie. I mean, I think and what this poor woman went through during the making of it, it's heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking. But she is fantastic in it. And the scene that always gets me is the scene where Jack is confronting her on the steps. And all she's saying is, I just want to go back to my room. And like, he is just coming at her. He's like, Wendy, darling, love of my life. I don't want to kill you. I just want to bash your head in. I want to bash you right the fuck in. Pardon my language, but no.
What'd you say, Justin? I didn't hear you. My phone cut off.
What? I said ice cream? I don't know.
Ice cream.
But that moment always gets me. And Shelley's she is amazing in this. Again, it's heartbreaking what she had to go through, but it one of her best performances, if not her best performance, is in this movie. I love it. I love this movie. It never gets old for me. I think it actually gets better over time.
Yeah.
Atmospheric wise, it's wonderful. The snowy setting's perfect. Danny Torrance, he's a great child actor. He did a great job in this. The twins, we talked about them.
Oh, yeah.
This might be this is my favorite Kubrick movie. I love this movie so much. And we talked about Mike Flanagan and what he did to Dr. Sleep and how he paid tribute to both King and Kubrick's movie.
Yes.
And yeah, The Shining, just a classic.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Knight?
Okay, well, it's time to start floating. So I gotta throw my hat in the ring. I'm going with It, the original. And Tim Curry, number one, is one of my favorite actors ever. I mean, this guy can literally play any type of role, and he has. You know, whether it's Legend or It or Rocky Horror, Congo. I mean, Clue.
Home Alone 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Home Alone
so
I will not take any Home Alone 2 slander. I'm just saying.
Oh, I love it.
I love Home Alone 2.
I agree.
Credit card.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay.
But yeah, Tim Curry is just amazing in this. And kind of like what you were saying, Ken, the thing about Pennywise in this version is that he is definitely, he's a clown, you know, and that's what you see him as. And that's how you're trapped. That's how you're pulled in. Whereas, and I love Bill Skarsgård too, and I love the new movies as well for different reasons. But I so agree that the Pennywise in the newer versions, I'm already scared. So it's like you're already bringing me into that feeling. Whereas with the Tim Curry version, he tricks you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, bam, and you're like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
So many great moments. All, and you guys have already said it, but the child actors did a hell of a job. But also, even in the second half, which again is the weaker half, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much. And this is a movie when I saw it as a kid on TV, those Sunday night Stephen King miniseries nights and stuff like that.
I miss them.
Yes, don't you? Oh my God,
I
man.
miss them. I wish we still had them.
I so agree. I think that I'm just so glad I grew up when I did, because it was a time when you had things like that. You sit down on a Sunday night, you can't fast forward or anything. You got to sit there and be patient and let things wash over you. And seeing stuff like It or The Stand or the Tommyknockers or the Langoliers, it was just it was an event. And that's why those things have stuck with me for decades after, you know? So anyways, it was just one of those movies I'll never forget.
Yep.
Never, ever.
Completely.
You know what scene still gets me too? And it's in the second half, but it's creepy, is the scene where Olivia Hussey confronts Pennywise at the gas station.
Don't you
want
it?
That's
Don't you want it?
Yes,
that's good,
creepy
man.
scene. Creepy. Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
Yes.
Ken, I mean,
Fun
that's a
fact.
good scene too.
That's exactly what happened the night me and Ashley met. I was getting gas and she came up to my car. She was like, "Don't you want it?
Yep.
Don't you want
Oh.
it?" See,
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting goosebumps. Like, that's a good one. Like, I
Yeah.
literally was like, oh
That
my
was a
gosh.
good one. Very good.
I love it. Love it. So to catch up
Yeah.
on the chat real quick, Brooke, have any of you seen the new werewolf movie, The Curse?
Oh, I want to.
I want to.
Our good friend Anya Rose Daly is a part of this film, so we got to watch it a little early. Won't talk too much about it, but check it out, guys. It is so
I can't wait.
good. Yes,
Yeah.
make sure you check it out. You're going to love it. I'm glad you liked it, Brooke. Please spread the good word about it, because Anya's really nervous because it's not getting the promotion that it really should. And so a lot of them are nervous about how it's going to turn out. But just hearing you say that you enjoyed it really, really warms my heart. So thank you. I was sending that along as well. Chris says number 3, The Shining. Just messing with you, Chris. The Shining. Yeah, Chris is like, fuck you, Ken. For those who don't know, Chris is one of my OGs. He's been one of my good friends. Me and him drove to Chicago together with Ashley and the kids to go watch a Tigers game in Chicago. That's how close we are. So, love you, buddy. Maya says silver medal goes to The Shining. I had it lower than as I talked about the other movies. It slowly moved down my list. Now it's at number 2. Mika says Pet Cemetery still scares me. It's a weird situation with this movie, but it always but it's always almost the same every time. I don't feel like watching it. Eventually, I force myself to watch it, and I'm finishing. Remember why I loved it. I've been there. I'm always so sad when people say it's boring. How can you watch The Shining and ever think that that's a boring movie?
Right?
I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
He's going to be subbing to you guys, so I appreciate that. Doctor Strangelove is my favorite Kubrick film, but The Shining is right behind it. The atmosphere of The Shining,
Yes.
so perfect. Another movie that feels strangely nostalgic. The vibes of the Overlook walks, yeah, so good. So now we are up to our number 2, and that is not my list. Now we are up to number 2, and that is Ashley. Don't You Want It? Starting us off on number 2.
That did not happen.
You guys should do like a short video or something with that. That would be hilarious.
Don't you want it? Of Ashley just walks, don't you want it? Don't you want it?
Oh wow.
I do.
Poor Ashley.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You guys have to put up with this for 2 hours a week. This is 24/7, baby.
Oh.
17 years old.
Well, okay. So my number 2 is Where It All Started for Me.
I know it.
What is it?
Pet Cemetery.
It's Pet Cemetery.
Her first horror movie.
That was my first horror movie I ever watched as a child. And it's just so nostalgic for me. And it just reminds me of being a kid and how terrified I was of Zelda and how terrified I was of Victor. And it's just, I love this movie so much. And it's a great movie. I mean, we've already touched on it and I love it.
Yeah. And yeah, I love the fact that this is your first horror movie. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nice.
I mean,
Classic movie.
Yeah, it is.
it really is.
What's coming in for you, Justin?
Well, Ashley, I'm with you with Pet Cemetery. So that is my
Nice.
number 2. Yes. I love this. And by the way, I got to do one more impression and then I'll talk about the movie.
Okay, hear it.
But okay. Rachel, I'll get you. Gage will get you.
Those great things.
That was good.
I love it.
Okay, so let's first talk about Zelda, because I had to do that introduction. That scene terrifies me, by the way.
Yeah.
Zelda's just terrifying in general in this movie. You know, I'm not gonna lie, every once in a while when I watch Pet Cemetery, because I get her voice in my head, sometimes I have to skip her scenes because that is how creepy she is in this movie. Other things I love about it, we talked about the Ramones. That song is one of my favorites. I play it a lot. I absolutely love it. Fred Gwynn is, hopefully I said Fred Gwynn, Judd Crandall, amazing. Gives one of the best performances.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pascal, I mean, you think he's like gonna be the villain, but he's a good guy and he's just trying to protect and warn this family. What's gonna happen? Dale Metcalf is great as Lewis. I think he gives a great performance. I still get tears and I get so heartbroken when he's chasing Gage and he can't. If he had not tripped, he would have got him. And the reaction that he has in the road, just screaming. It makes me cry just thinking about it. I mean, I don't have kids yet, but I have nieces and nephews. And it's just it's heartbreaking.
And the thing is, you're just a person that's full of love anyway, man. So
I mean,
positivity.
Kid in general,
Yes.
that's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horrible. It's so sad. I adore this movie. It scares me. It's still one of the scariest movies for me, but I adore this. Love the ending. I think the ending still gets me too. When Rachel comes back and she's like, darling.
Oh,
oh my gosh. And the moment where they're kissing and it's like bloody and disgusting and it's sweet at the same time because Lewis has just lost it completely, but he loves Rachel. And then all of a sudden she comes up with that knife and the screen goes to black and you hear him
Yes.
scream. Like,
Yes.
this is awesome. I've heard some people say that they think this movie's outdated, that it's not as good as it used to be. I think this movie gets better and better each time I watch it.
Their
I
moms
mean,
are outdated.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie's outdated. I agree with you, brother. I don't see anything outdated about this movie. It's still just as terrifying now as it was the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the remake. I was a fan of it, but the things that I did not like about it, one, I don't think they used Zelda as much as they should have.
She was
Pascal being another character. You
Mhm.
know, they could have done so much with him. And then also Judd. Like I love John Lithgow, one of my favorite actors.
Mhm.
But I feel like they could have used him more too.
Mhm.
And then we got to talk about Miko Hughes, Gage, like fantastic in this. Like when Lewis has to like, you know, put his son down a second time and see his son die a second time when he gives him the shot in the neck. Heartbreaking.
Yeah. No fair.
Yeah.
And then he like trips over and he looks at Lewis and he growls at him like,
yes.
yeah. I mean, this Pet Sematary, I can go on and on. I think we all can, but I love this. And if you guys haven't seen the documentary that they did on the making of this movie, Synapse released it. I think it's called Dead and Unearthed. It's amazing. It's like an hour and a half of them talking about the making of Pet Sematary. So, yeah.
And another fun fact about that, in the original sequence that they shot, Brad Greenquist, who plays Victor, they filmed a bunch of stuff of him flying around, like flying after Lewis and stuff.
Oh.
And they never released it. And I wish so bad I could get a copy of that to see how that happened.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So what's coming in at number 2 for you, Knight?
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm just copying, but sometimes dead is better.
Yes.
I've got Pet Sematary as my number 2.
Oh.
Awesome.
Look, I mean, this movie is just great. It's just great. Everything about it. Fred Gwynne is fantastic in this movie. Like, to me, he was the glue. He really held this whole thing together. From the time you met him, I was just so invested in his character. And when he was telling the stories, you know, trying to kind of give all the backstory to what was happening in the cemetery and everything, it was just great stuff. And like you were saying, Justin, the scene obviously with Gage, and when Dale goes to his knees and he just yells, "No!" Like, even just thinking about it, when you were talking about it, I was just getting those chills. I mean, it's just a fantastic movie. So many great scenes. Zelda, she gets the win every time.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I was terrified of her, you know.
Oh my gosh.
So there's no doubt this movie is good. And like you were saying, the ending, just so tragic. You knew it was going to end badly. And gosh, when they cut to black, I was just like, what? You know, and just a great movie. I mean, to me, it does stand up to the test of time. And I enjoy it just as much, if not more, today than I did as a kid. I really, really do.
I agree.
Can we also
I'll
talk
tell you.
real quick? No, you go ahead first, Justin.
Fred Gwynne, a scene that just gets me every time is when he's talking to Lewis and he's like, I may have killed your son, Lewis. Like, he's confessing that he might have done this. Like, this could have been a heartbreaking moment.
What about when they're at the funeral and the coffin gets knocked over when the dad and
Oh,
man.
That's
That's a scene I would have killed him. I would have killed him.
Oh my gosh.
Then you have this is not the time, Lewis. Like, oh my god, that's one of the most underrated scenes of that movie for me.
Yeah.
Church the cat. I mean, the cat in the movie too is like
Church.
a character. I mean, the
Absolutely.
scene, play dead, be dead at
Yeah.
the end of the movie. Just,
What about
oh my gosh.
when Church throws the rat in the bathroom?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I would freak out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would definitely
Yes.
all 9 of its lives then.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So number 2 for me, I'm gonna go back on the sequel train here, and I'm going to go with Dr. Sleep at number 2.
Oh,
Yes.
Woohoo!
It's just so good.
Mhm.
And what I love about Dr. Sleep, people that aren't fans of The Shining, you don't have to be a fan of that movie. You don't even ever have to have seen The Shining to
Correct.
appreciate
Yeah,
Dr. Sleep.
I
It
agree.
really stands on its own. And I love the homage they paid to Frankenstein when you have Rose the Hat with the little girl by the water. Like, that's
Mhm.
such an homage to the original
Yes.
Frankenstein.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it
And
is.
I love the way they played that off. And there's just so much, like you said, the Jacob Tremblay, the kid. Is it gonna
Yeah.
hurt? I hope so.
Oh,
Like,
so
oh,
rough.
yeah, it's so rough.
yeah.
I do, and I think Abra.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Great.
talked about this. I can't remember who we were talking about it with, but to see the hero of the movie be a young person of color, female young person of color, and to play the role so great.
She did phenomenal.
Yes,
Yes.
she absolutely killed it. So
It's amazing.
coming in at number 2 for me, a movie that I have a very soft spot for, the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. Now, before we get into our number ones, we're going to catch up on the chat real quick. Maya says, yes, Ashley, Pet Cemetery for the win.
Yeah.
Charles, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you drop in.
Hey,
Hey.
Charles.
Hey, Charles.
Chris Marshall, number 2. Sometimes they come back. Just transferred up from Milford. I'll wait till you guys get to yours to say my number 1. Patrick, what's going on, buddy? I was
Hey.
talking about you earlier because
Hello.
today Ashley and I filmed our. You want to tell them what we filmed today?
Oh, what did we film today?
Our did,
Oh, I didn't see that coming on, so I'm like, oh, I don't know.
we
yeah.
filmed our
Wow.
Didn't See That Coming today on the movie Saw.
Nice.
Ooh.
Thought of Patrick the whole time we were filming it. Charles, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Charles.
We appreciate it so much. Thank you. Maya says, hey, Patrick, what's up, mate? Hey, Maya. If you speed up the scenes of Zelda from that weird perspective, that could easily be a 2000s alternative music video.
Terrifying.
Best Stephen King movie is easily Sleepwalkers. Masterpiece. Cop Kebab.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a fun Stephen King movie.
What
It
about the
is.
part where he's just like, stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me, you fucking cat. Like,
Yeah,
that
right.
part is Sleepwalkers.
It's bonkers, man.
Y'all got to head out soon for my nightly Jeopardy watching with my dad. My number 1. Ken got any guesses? You should know this. It Chapter 2. That's my guess. It Chapter
Ooh.
2. Where was my invite? I feel
Nice.
so left out. Sorry, dude. It was just us two. If it makes you any better, if I would have had a guess for that, didn't see it coming, Patrick, I promise you, on my mother's ashes, you would have been my first text, buddy. Now, just like always, before we get into our number 1, I got to say this again, guys. If you're joining us a little late, click those subscribe buttons down there for Nightwatch Zone and Rhine1988. If this is your first time here at Sledgehammer Horror, click that subscribe button. We do it live every week, and we got a lot of content that we hope you would enjoy. Now, before we get to our number 1, Justin, you'll be starting us off. As always, we ask if you wouldn't mind recapping your honorable mentions all the way up to your number 1.
I don't mind at all. So my honorable mentions: Rose Red, Storm of the Century, Firestarter, and Misery. At number 10, I had Silver Bullet. Number 9, Dr. Sleep. Number 8, Sometimes They Come Back. Number 7, It, the miniseries from 1990. Number 6, John Carpenter's Christine. Number 5, as a whole movie, It and It Chapter 2. Number 4, Salem's Lot, Teacher. Number 3, The Shining. Number 2, Pet Cemetery, the original. And that's it. Then we'll get to my number 1.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So my number 1, it's been talked about, but this is when I think Stephen King. This is between this and Pet Cemetery. But Carrie, 1976, the original Brian De Palma Carrie. We brought a lot of amazing points up already about this. Sissy Spacek, wonderful. I always feel so heartbroken with everything that she goes through in this movie.
Yes.
And, the moment that the prom sequence happens and she causes chaos, I really think the reason why she reacted the way she was is, 1, what happened to her, but 2, what she's seeing in her mind with everybody laughing at her. Like the gym teacher in her mind is laughing at her, hearing her mother's voice. That whole prom sequence, the way it was directed with the 2 shots, like you're seeing 2 things at once,
Mm-hmm.
very effective. I I'm not a fan of Chris or her or Jimmy or whatever his name is, John Travolta's character, but when they're outside, like in my head, when they're looking at everything going on, I'm thinking in their head, they're thinking, what did we do? Like, this is insane what's happening. I mean, that might just be me, but like their reaction looking at everything, it's almost like, I can't believe we did this. Like, what is happening here? The lead up to the bucket pouring over Carrie, like when you see Sue following the lights and the string, and you have that music going on, is so good. Like that build up that Brian De Palma did is amazing. And then of course, Piper Laurie, Mrs. White. She's terrifying in this movie. She is terrifying from the beginning up into the very end of the film.
Agreed.
She has like one of the best scenes in the movie, and it's the scene where she's talking to Carrie before she goes to attempt to kill Carrie, and she's talking about, Carrie's father and, how, they had sex and, it was in sin because they weren't married. And, talking about Carrie the day she was born and the devil has come home. We'll pray.
Yes.
For one last time. This is like without a doubt, like my favorite Stephen King movie, one of my favorite movies just in general. And I'll always remember as a kid, like when I first saw this on VHS, I would replay like the whole prom sequence with the music over and over again. And I always had to make my sisters get involved, and we would recreate the prom sequence. And I'm like, we're all like screaming and everything. And, I'm not going to lie, I was Carrie. I was like doing the destruction. So that's my moment there. But I love this movie so much. So Carrie. Oh, and I got to mention the Tommy Carrie dance where Tommy is just being so sweet to her.
Right.
Generally likes her.
Yeah.
And it just
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. And it's the one moment in the film where Carrie feels safe and she feels loved.
Absolutely.
And that she matters.
Yes.
And
having such a great time with him, and then it's just like all just
goes to chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have that one sweet moment that I adore a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I could talk about Carrie all night. I love this.
I can't argue it, man. I love it.
It's a great movie.
Great.
Yes.
You want to give us your honorable mentions up to number one, Night?
Okay, honorable mentions, and I want to make sure I had this correct. I had Thinner, which again, underrated, very underrated. I could have had some more honorable mentions, but anyway, The Running Man, because yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger in a Stephen King movie. It really happened. And then from 10 through 1, we've got Cujo, Silver Bullet, Stand By Me, The Mist, Dr. Sleep, Misery, Carrie, It, the original, Pet Sematary at number 2. And for number 1, now this was the only one on the list. I already knew that it was number 1, and I didn't even have to think about it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. If you've not seen Behind Me with the poster, it's The Shining. This movie, it's just so good, and you guys have touched upon some really good points about it. It's like an experience watching this movie. What Stanley Kubrick had going on, so many different elements, the music, the cinematography, the camera angles, everything was just you feel like you're in that world, for me anyways. Jack Nicholson, just so good in the role. And I agree. I think that he wanted to do right by his family in the beginning.
Yeah.
But as the madness took over and you just see him just change, it was a lot different than what we saw with Steven Weber. I think Stephen King himself wanted the character to be more sympathetic and so
Yeah.
forth, and dealing with the addiction aspects and stuff like that. And the way that Kubrick framed the character, it wasn't like that really, but I had no issue with that, and I actually enjoyed the book as well.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
Yeah, I'm actually one of the few weirdos that to me, because you don't hear a lot of people say that. A lot of people say they love the book or they love the movie.
Hmm.
I love both, and I
Me
can
too.
enjoy them for different reasons. But kind of like what you were saying too, Justin, Shelley Duvall. Wow, I mean, the things that she went through um, to portray this character that had so
Yeah.
many emotions just pouring out of her. I mean, some people I've heard don't think that it was a great performance, and I'm thinking,
That was
what?
amazing.
I thought it was absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Top notch.
yeah, I really felt for her, and I really and as a mother, especially at the end, she's trying to save her son and all of that. I mean, it's just a great movie from top to bottom, and it's still, I can still remember that feeling when I first saw it. Obviously the scene with the twins and come play with us.
Yeah.
It's like it's still haunting to me.
Mhm.
It still haunts me to this day. It's crazy. So
Did anybody ever see the alternate, the original ending that Kubrick had that was in theaters for like a short amount of time and then pulled it out because fans weren't into it, so he reshot an ending and then released it back in theaters?
Mm-mm.
Well, there's an ending, and I don't think it's on YouTube. Actually, I think there's only a still of it. But Wendy and Danny are actually at the hospital, and they find out about Jack's death. So you actually see another scene with Danny and Wendy at a hospital at the end of the movie.
God, I would
And-
love that.
Right.
Wow.
I don't think audiences reacted well to it, so Kubrick actually took the movie out for a brief amount of time, reshot the ending, and then re-released it again. So if
Wow.
anybody can find that on YouTube, I would want to watch it because I've
Please.
never seen
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
I would love to see it too.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. No doubt. Wow.
Yeah, a little fun fact about that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So with my list, my honorable mentions were Misery and Maximum Overdrive. 10, Carrie. 9, The Mist. 8, 1408. 7, Silver Bullet. Ashley knows my number 1 already. 6, It. 5, The Shining. 4, Creep Show. 3, Pet Cemetery. 2, Dr. Sleep. And my favorite Stephen King movie of all time.
Oh, I love
They
it.
come back.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Oh,
Just transferred up from Milford, man. Like this, she knew the minute I told her, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna do a top 10 Stephen King." She was like, "I know you're number 1."
oh,
But
Wow.
love it.
I'm telling you, like, this was a made-for-TV movie. I would kill to get a theatrical release of this movie
That would be
and
awesome.
see what they could do
Yeah.
with this movie now. Like you talked
That would
about
be cool.
when they got the kid in the car with them, and he's like, "Let's do the face." And he's like, "Are we just bored or what?" And he's like, "I'll do the face." And then they turn to the monsters right in front of him.
Yeah.
Scared me.
Or
Yeah.
when he's older, Jimmy's older, and he's watching the Godzilla movie, and it morphs into the home video of him and Wayne playing baseball outside, and then Wayne has that big smile, and then it just drops. Run, Jimmy, run! Like,
Oh,
man.
so sad.
And one of the first big guests I had on my first horror movie was Wayne, Chris Demetral.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it's just like this movie has been up towards my top 5 favorite horror movies my whole life. And
I love it.
I seriously would love to see I would help fund the movie if I could. That's how bad I want to see a theatrical release of Sometimes They Come Back. We're remaking movies now. Remake a movie that's worth being remade, guys. We need a Sometimes They Come Back feature. So number 1.
Tell you what, if I was a director, that would be one of the Stephen King adaptations I would direct. So
Could you imagine?
It'd be
Mike
great to see it.
Flanagan led
Yeah.
Sometimes They Come
Yeah.
Back?
That would be cool.
You know, and I always if I ever had to play a character, and oddly enough, like if I ever had to play a character in a movie, because I'm such a nice person, I would like to try to pull off the lead bad guy in the movie.
Yeah.
Like that would be me. So
Crush it, dude. I just imagine Justin like, I'll do the thing.
That'd be awesome.
We'll mention number one, babe.
Yes. So my honorable mentions were The Mist and Children of the Corn. Number 10 was Stand By Me. 9, Carrie. 8, Rose Red. 7, Creep Show. 6, Maximum Overdrive. 5, 1408. 4, The Shining. 3, Sometimes They Come Back. 2, Pet Sematary. And number 1 for me is It.
Yeah.
It's the miniseries that aired on TV. It just brings back so many memories of just being a kid, and it's nostalgic for me. And honestly, I feel like when that was on TV, like it really helped horror movies like for TV. Like it really promoted that for them, because horror is sometimes not always in the best light, and people don't know.
It's taboo.
Yeah. So that I feel like really brought out horror TV for sure.
Yes, I agree.
And and just Tim Curry, he's phenomenal as Pennywise, and the cast, the kids and the adults, I love them both. And I love it. And I think we still have it. Like I had the 2 tape.
We do.
The cassette. Yeah.
Nice.
I was I'm in love with it, and I could watch it, and like I have even watched it with my son because I want him to see it before we went and seen the new ones. And it's just fun, and that is mine.
What a ride!
Yeah,
I knew that was your number 1 too.
I knew you.
Actually, you know what? I did know. I
Was
knew
it
Pet Sematary. Yes, I knew it was either Pet Sematary or It. So once you said Pet Sematary, I knew.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the nail on the head like you had on me. So, we're gonna touch up on the chat real quick. Anybody, if you have any questions for me, Ashley, Justin, or Knight, please ask now.
I'm just gonna ask, does anybody know like where that It documentary went? Like, do you remember when they were doing like a huge retrospective on the It miniseries? Like it was made, GoFundMe had it, and like it just went away.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Filmed it. They filmed a documentary, and I hope we get to see it. So
that would be great, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I would
Maybe
love to see
it's
that.
out in the world somewhere. We just gotta find it.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna catch up the chat real quick. We only started. See now, Patrick, my buddy Patrick. He's an Aussie. And in his newest Texas Chainsaw video, he referred to the Confederate flag as the communist flag, and he's catching a lot of shit for it. But like, it's a stupid flag, dude. And like that flag itself represents hate. I get that that's not what it started as, guys. And I'm not trying to start a political war here. It's not our flag.
Yeah.
Period. And if you're gonna get upset because he accidentally called it a communist flag instead of a Confederate flag, your life must be pretty fucking great if that ruins your day. So I'm sorry you're going through all that shit right now, buddy. Love that Carrie was your number 1 pick, Justin.
Thank
I definitely
you.
would put it as my number 1. Hell yeah, Mika. Good. Sorry. Better late than never, man. You can always watch the replay too. Carrie's an amazing movie that blew me away the first time I saw it. Ken, you are correct. My favorite King adaptation is It Chapter 2. I can't believe people didn't love it as much as Part 1. I saw it in theaters 2 times within 24 hours. Very nice.
Awesome.
Ooh, wow.
Loved Carrie. It really affected me on a deep level. I saw it the first time wishing it was even longer. I have never looked forward to a physical release as much as I did, except for maybe Jackass. I think they were supposed to do an It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 supercut with a bunch of extra features.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I heard about that.
Obviously, the pandemic has taken a hit on that, but
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. There's nothing I can say I haven't already said about how much I love that movie. The characters were perfectly cast. The story was enjoyable. The Easter eggs were great. Kills were emotional. Hell yeah. But of course, the opening hit extra close to home for me, along with the underlying relationship with Eddie and Richie, of course. And that opening scene is...
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I think the reason that's so heartbreaking is because that's a real monster that's still around today. Not like a killer clown that,
Yeah.
But someone... Ignorance is still very much alive and well. And hate.
I'm not going to go on too long, but my theater experience was like the worst the first time I saw it, because it just proved how much people wanted to laugh or hate at people, because
you told me that story, Justin, and it broke my heart. As a member of the LGBTQ community, for you to have to deal with the experience, and I don't want to get too much into it either, man, because it's heartbreaking, and I love you more than having to make you relive a shitty moment like that. I just, I'm sorry.
It just shows ignorance. I mean, I literally, like, when people are being beat up and the audience is laughing at somebody because they're being beat up and brutalized, like,
that's unbelievable.
I won't go into it again too much either. I just was so appalled by it. I contacted the theater afterwards and I was like, look, this was what was going on. You know, yeah. I won't talk about it too much, but yeah, that was a hard moment for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry that you went through that. That's horrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that too.
That makes me feel, sad, and it feels like we've gone so far, but then we come so far back too. It's just,
absolutely, you just can't believe that people would even think that would be remotely decent to even do. Because when I saw that scene, I literally got teary-eyed.
That's how we were too.
Because that's how powerful of a scene it was.
Yeah.
Watching any human being go through that is terrible.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
to laugh at that is fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Like that says way more about the people laughing than it does about the people in that community. Like it's fucking disgusting, man. Like, oh, that's gross. No, what's gross is the way that you look at life. That's what's fucking gross. You worthless piece of shit. Love is love, and I don't care who it's between. Man and man, woman and woman, man and woman. Love is love. And it fucking doesn't matter. Like, if it matters to you who that person loves, fuck you, man.
Right.
It shouldn't matter to you. Stay in your fucking lane. No one tells you what you have to do. Sorry, man. I just get emotional.
No, you're fine. No,
I have so many friends that are in the LGBTQ community, and I'm so proud of you guys, and I love you guys because
thank you.
It's not a community I'm personally a part of, but at the same time, like the strength that it takes for you to come out and say, "This is who I am," knowing the backlash you could possibly receive for that, but the strength to wake up every morning and still go out there and say, "This is who I am."
Right.
It's admirable for you to be who you are in this community. I love you, every single one of you. Continue to be yourselves and continue to love who you love. Don't hide who you are because of fear. And the strength that you have to do that is fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. And I have the argument of, well, blah, 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 blah. When I was 5 years old, I knew titties were awesome. I knew I was a straight man. And if at 5 years old, you look at a man as a man and you know that's what you love, that's who you love. If you're a woman and you think the way, boobies are great. That's who you are. You're not. You can't change who you are. I can't not be attracted to you. If being straight was wrong, and I say that with quotes, guys, I couldn't change who I was. That's who I am.
Right.
And the fact that people think that this is a fucking light switch you turn on and off is appalling and disgusting. So anybody
you have to be your truth.
Like Justin had to go through. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna make it lighthearted and say, like, I knew I was gay when I thought Brad from Teen Witch was good looking. And I was like,
you see what I mean? Like, that's it. You knew. You knew. Don't tell me a 5-year-old doesn't know. You look at somebody, you know they're good looking. That's who you are. So, shove it. Not the communist flag, Patrick. Again. Sorry, Patrick. I just think it's bullshit that people watch a half-hour video this guy poured his heart and soul into, and their main talking point is the fact that he fucked up a word.
It's too bad.
Piss off. Marsh, number 1, Dr. Sleep and Misery. Oh, you cheater!
Wow, but still great movies. Great movies.
This is my favorite King film, and one of the only films to make me cry every time I watch it.
Yes.
Much love to you.
Maya, proud lesbian.
Much love.
There you go.
Disgusting. I can't believe this world. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, man. That scene when I saw it was absolutely horrifying. And the fact that the audience reaction doesn't sit right. Dude, here's what sucks. I can't control myself. And you know this.
Yeah.
Had I been in that theater, it would have turned ugly real quick. Real quick.
I mean, even the scene, I'll say this, even the scene when Beth is being hit by her abusive boyfriend, they were cheering in the theater. I was like,
wow. Yeah, that is awful.
Sounds like you went to a theater with a bunch of
fucking idiots.
Total idiots. Absolutely.
I knew I loved big bobas after I discovered the Black and Orange website.
Oh my god.
Mika, that's right. Ken, love is love. So everybody, speaking of love is love, we love every single one of you.
Yes.
Thank you
I
guys.
love you all.
for hanging out
Absolutely.
with us. We're at the end of the third act, guys. The credits are about to roll. So before they do, make sure you subscribe to these gentlemen down here in the
Thank you.
description. So, guys, don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. But until next time, I'm Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Keep talking horror.
And stay who you are.
We'll see you guys
Bye,
soon.
guys.
Bye,
Much
guys.
love.
Peace.